The Enlightened Entrepreneur is a live online 8-week course specifically designed to teach heart-led practitioners how to launch, establish, and scale their own highly successful spiritual businesses. If you're longing to really step into your purpose and reach the next level in your work and in your life, please consider joining us so you can turn your gifts and your talents into a powerful service that you can sell.
And here we are. I thought it was longer. Hi everyone, welcome. Did you check if we were
we're on
to be?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, we are on. Hi everyone. And I'm looking at the chat now. We have Michelle, Kristen, Vanessa. Hi guys. Welcome to Lightshine Live. We are here, the T-shirt twins. We are.
Yours is a little different than mine.
Yeah, yours is. I like yours. It's funny. Your Jeremy pictures out, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes. No, this is his shirt.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mine. A client gave me mine.
Oh.
And this is a big glittery I am.
I love it.
And all of these things. And I would for myself, I probably wouldn't buy something that said all these things on it. So it's good because now I'm wearing it. And I'm like, okay, I am. I would definitely buy a glittery I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd probably over here say Franzi's mommy, Barnabas's mommy.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyway.
I love it.
How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. How am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing all right. I had a busy and a long day today. Yeah. You know, we have been busy in the energy and the content of the Enlightened Entrepreneur.
Yes. You're like, what is it called?
Is it Enlightenment? Okay. The Enlightened Entrepreneur. So and also that a lot of that is coinciding with my interests with regard to, Goddard, Napoleon Hill, Stuart Wilde. Like I've just been in that work and it's just really intersecting nicely. But I did go get my hair did today.
Me too.
Did you?
We both, wow, we are so
we are
synced up.
We really are.
I just did it right now.
Oh, you did it yourself?
No, not this. I do color it myself
because
I'm that lazy, and also because it's so simple. But no, I just got it cut.
I love it. You've got layers in there, and it's I love that sort of beachy tendrils.
I know. I don't know how to do it. He does.
I don't know how to do it either.
Yeah, every time I do it, I look like 1982.
Listen, all I do is just iron my hair. Yeah. If I didn't, you've seen my hair without it, right?
I love it.
Oh, good Lord.
I love your curls and your texture. It's pretty. No. So I just put up there the Enlightened Entrepreneur. And so, y'all, we have the early bird is ending tomorrow. And that's over $100 off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a lot of you out there have your mission and you want to start or scale up your spiritual business. And oh my God, I'm so excited about this program though.
I've always really been into it. I've always been into, I think marketing and social media is really magical and manifesty. If you're doing it when you're in the flow with spirit, it's pretty amazing what you can do. And it goes against what a lot of internet marketing gurus say you should do, but when you're following spirit, that's how all of my great things have happened in my life. I've just followed spirit. And so I really have always liked business and developing businesses, but I really love figuring out how to connect with spirit to create those businesses so that they're really, really wonderful, which is what we've done.
And I love that you said also, social media too. Because that's what we're doing right now. And we both, I love it. And then it is very much, I find myself contending with it the same way that I do other things in my life, which I do want it to be spiritually inspired and I want it to be authentic. And I'm venting right now my absolute disdain for selfies. I've told you this before. I hate selfies. Too. I hate taking them. I also hate looking at other people's. Not really though, because when I see someone and I'm like, oh, I get why people why they're popular, because I do want to see your face and you are pretty.
But I don't want to see your boobies. I don't want to see your tuchus. I don't want to see any of that.
Yeah.
Am I too old? Maybe that's why.
I know I'm old too. That's my deal. I know it's from being, you know what I mean? I'm being a bit resistant to it, but I actually, to me, I just think that I'm a terrible model and most people are terrible models. Modeling is actually a talent and a skill, and most of us ain't got it. And so I can see that a lot. And so that's my resistance. I actually said to someone today, because I was waiting for my podcast guest to show up, and I was like, oh, I'll knock out some selfies. And I was like trying to take some selfies, and she showed up, and I was like, oh my God, did you just see me? And she's like, no, I didn't. I wasn't. And I said, you know what? I think that selfies are as big a scourge on humankind as smoking. I was like, no, that's not true.
Not quite. But yeah, no, I mean, it's very uncomfortable. But if you had met me in my 30s, before we even had smartphones, because I'm old, I was taking selfies. I was figuring out how to do I was totally into my looks and stuff. I was, very vain actually. But I was always into it, but I'm no longer into it. And it's not necessarily degradation of looks, because clearly, okay, we got all of this going on right now.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
But it's just, I mean, the more you awaken and spiritually develop, the more cringy, like all the stuff of the ego is, just any of it. Like, and I can see it on other people, but especially your ego stuff.
Oh yeah. It's like,
from
so stinky.
Teens, 20s, 30s. I'm just like, even reading my writing, I'm like, oh God, calm down. Super egoic. So yeah, social media, that's, I mean, we both have somebody who helps manage our social media, and she's always asking me for selfies. And I'm just like,
I call them, I have a folder for Dina, who's our social media manager. And it's the title of it. I'm so resistant to it that I even hate the word selfie. And so I entitle it Self-Portraits Ugh. That's the name of the folder. Okay. But the reason I'm sharing this is because I'm contending with it. This is my resistance. This is my frustration. There is an authentic way to do it. Because, I do see, as much as we're complaining about the negative sides, when I see my friends or the people that I follow or whatever, when I see their selfies, I'm like, oh,
I love them.
Yeah, I know, I do actually. So I'm trying to vent out.
And so they would love to see yours too.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, even the crustiest, worst lit one, and like with not even the best expression, I get, people like comments and everything, because we like each other. We like each other's faces. So
what are you doing today? What do you look like today? I don't care if you don't look the best. I just want to see your face.
Yeah. It's so painful though. I sweat.
It's stuff you have to deal with,
when I'm taking them. Oh, so this person that I met with today for a podcast, I was telling her how awful I hate selfies and everything. And she said there's some kind, I don't know if it's a YouTube channel or some media channel that is influencers in the wild. And they take video of people taking selfies of themselves.
Like stopping traffic in the middle of a crosswalk to take a bunch of selfies. Right. Or stopping a bus to be in front of it to take a bunch of selfies. It's just like, oh God, I know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So
sorry. Anyway, I do have something I want to tell you.
Okay, good.
Okay, we didn't have a chance to chat, and everybody else, I love you. We're all in a family. Yeah. So I know I've talked to you, and I've talked to Stephanie, and I've talked to some of the kids in the certification program about the potential of my daughter and her wife coming back to Texas. And I'm trying to think, well, do they come back to Texas, or do we relocate to somewhere else that I'm thinking about relocating to, and then they follow us? Like, what are we going to do? Anyway, some things really opened up in terms of manifestation and facilitation, and it looks like they're going to be able to come home in 6 months at the soonest, but maybe 6 months, which is great.
6 weeks. So I was like, oh my gosh. Oh.
Probably
That's
not.
Wonderful.
No. Yeah. It's exciting.
Oh my gosh.
I'm virtually alone here. I really don't have many friends here.
You have your babies though. Oh my gosh. And all their thousands of animals too. You'll have all of these grand animals.
We'll have our own
grand
community,
animals.
Our commune. Yes. So I'm excited about that, because I was really wanting to speak that into existence, but it's I teach about this, and I really should pay attention to this. I know the subconscious knows how to do what the subconscious knows how to do. You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen and all the steps to take. If you just live in the end or in the outcome that you want and occupy the vibration of that, it just happens naturally. So it looks like it's happening. Hey, I'm not holding on too dearly, because that's hard energy and it repels what you want, but I'm cruising with it. I'm pretty happy about it.
Feels good.
I thought I would share. Yeah.
Yeah. You asked Stephanie and me about our intuitive hits on it. And we both said, yeah, no, have them come soon. Soon. Yeah. That was, both of us felt it.
Yep.
So,
separate from each other.
Cool.
Isn't it awesome when your best friends are psychic?
I know it is.
You can just ask them what do you see? What are you going? Yeah. It's awesome. Anyway.
Yeah. You know, when we're talking about living in the vibration of the outcome, not being attached to it. There's a difference, you know, occupying the vibration of it and loving it and feeling it. And a lesson that for you reminded me of the lesson that I'm learning right now, which is about, like, I'll be like, do I have enough time? Like, time as a resource. And I think when I, like, for example, when I was just doing the elementals workshop, like the nature kingdom, they like to work with time and manifestation, but they also think it's so insane that we somehow think we don't have enough time because we're totally making it up. Like, it's just something that we make up and then we, like, make it in charge of ourselves. And so my lesson is that you don't need enough time. You just need enough synchrony, which is a vibration that you're holding. Like, being in the now, being in the synchronization of everything. And then everything works out. That's my deal.
It does. It worked. Perfect divine order. Absolutely.
Yes.
I do want to say that my daughter and her wife went to our last Lightshine development circle.
Oh, they did.
They came. Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't tell anybody that my kids were there because I didn't, want it to get weird or anything like that. But I told everybody at the end, but they had so much fun. They're like, we're going to come to every Saturday circle. And they are super psychic. And it was really, really cool seeing Kara, my daughter-in-law, especially because she was really nervous. Like, I bought her some oracle cards and I'm like, see which ones you vibe with and just check it out. And if you want, bring a deck with you. And she was really nervous. But then as soon as she volunteered to do a reading, and she had the floor, you would have been so impressed because she is an empath, right?
I know she is. I've never met her because I was doing a reading for their dog like ages ago, and I'm like, you got an empath in that house. Like, I mean, from the dog.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but you could just see, like, as soon as she began the reading, even though she was a little timid to begin with, you could see that empath energy, and she started kind of vibrating with it. And she gave a really beautiful message. And that's the thing, like, if you just say yes, and if you just put yourself in this space of where spirit is dwelling, like, really wonderful things can happen. So they were there on Saturday. They'll be there again for this next Saturday circle. But if anybody out there is interested in joining us, this is just an ongoing thing we're doing. We have about 30 people right now who are members, and you drop in when you can. You don't have to. The last circle was pretty small. We had about 13 people. It was really intimate. Everything shared within the circle is sacred. It's private. And it's just a cool place to get readings. Like, you can get psychic readings, which tend to be pretty expensive. And you can also practice giving readings. And this is an ongoing thing. We just want to invite you guys to join us because it's so much fun. It is really fun.
And it is, like, we've both talked about how we both, I'm glad that we have it because I want a circle. To be able to vibe in. We have all our communities that we're in pretty frequently, but when you were starting out, that's how we did it.
That is how we did it.
I mean, you just gotta be in the energy of it, and I honestly, like, I need to get more readings every year too. Like, I need to buy the readings. I need to be in the space of getting readings because in order to be good at your skill, whatever it is, you also need to be a customer. And I learned that from all of the previous careers I had as a bartender, as a server, everything that I did. I had to go and sit and be the one who was receiving the service as well. And so, but that, just the community, and for doing new things, you always want to be doing new things. You always have a new technique, a new skill, a new something that you want to do. And that's the only way to do it, is to do it.
One of the coolest things that happened on Saturday was one of our members, I won't say who it is because it's a private circle, but it was their first time ever reading in the last circle. So the first circle was the second Tuesday of June. Anyway, and she showed up to that, and that was her first time reading, and she was actually really good. She came back on Saturday and gave a reading, and it was mediumistic. Like, wow, a person came through, and she's like, is this mediumship? And I'm like, it's absolutely mediumship, and keep going, like, keep flowing with it. And she gave a mediumship reading. And also Stephanie and I were both in that circle, and we got to read too, because just like you're saying, like, well, I know I don't have clients anymore, but I know you do, but I don't really have occasion to read people anymore. So I was like, I'm going to get in on this because this is fun.
It's fun. I know. That's the thing. It's really fun. Doing readings, getting readings. It's so fun. Yeah, and I'm laughing because that's the other thing is you get to reliving that moment. I had that moment too where I'm like, is this a person? Like, you know what I mean? Like at those different moments of the new things, you get to relive it, and it's really cool.
Your first animal comes through, and your animal communicating. It's just it's really dynamic. It's fun. So we invite you guys, join us. It's really affordable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, back in the aughts when I was going to a circle, I mean, I was giving $15 or $20 into just the offering. You know, that's at the least you will give for somebody to run the circle. And this is $22 a month for 2 circles, about 2 hours each circle. So 4 hours worth of practice and receiving readings and giving them. So it's really affordable. It's just really something we wanted to put together for the community. So come join us.
Dawn says, Dawn Vibrations. I wonder who that is. I think I know who is that. It's that her name's not Dawn. It's someone we know. I'm recognizing her little profile picture there. But she's really excited to participate in the circle. Yay!
Yay!
Oh, well,
so talking.
Yeah. What else do we have going on today? What's going on with you guys? I'm looking through the feed here. I'm gonna just pin this one here from Monica. I've been working on that as well ever since you talked about it during the elementals class. Those fairies always reminding me that we are the ones who make up time. Yeah. Yeah, they really laughed at me a lot when I'm working with them for the class. And they're like, time? Time's a game that you made up, weirdo.
By the way, I should say that workshop that you did, phenomenal. So much freaking content. Like we always over deliver anyway, but so much freaking content. We are in the process of offering that again passively. So if you want to take it on demand, you can. All you have to do is go to lightshineacademy.com and look at our programs, and it'll be there hopefully soon, if not already. I don't know. But yeah,
should
definitely
be there tomorrow. I'm halfway through preparing it for on demand.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow.
So yeah. And the thing about we want to offer our workshops live first, obviously, and it's going to be offered at a lower price. When we offer it on demand, it's going to be offered at a little bit more. So if you can ever catch a program live, it's the best to do that. But this is one of those programs where if you even have remote interest in fairies, dragons, unicorns, animals, nature kingdom, tree people, which are the first types of people I ever saw, you should definitely take that workshop because it's really, really good, Tricia. It's really good. Yeah.
Thank you.
And your meditations are just so awesome.
Thank you so much. I have the best time. And, you know, when I create the meditations, they're by channeling. So it's always pulling through the energies that everybody in all time and space who are going to be there, you know, what we all are calling in. So, yeah, just check back probably tomorrow at the latest. I think I finished almost everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So what you have a Goddard, you've been doing your Goddard study.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you something.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to. I
am geeking out about all of it. And it's not like I haven't read this stuff before. Like it's just so alive and eternal, and the principles just continue. The more you work with like sacred energy, sacred texts, it just continues to reveal. And I have just been geeking out on all things Goddard, but a lot of other masters as well. And so I decided to launch a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I was like,
you mentioned it. Yeah. Well, you were asking me about the name and everything. That's what I was about to accidentally reveal. That's why. So I didn't know. I was like, maybe she's not ready, but I guess.
See, that's what when spirit says, move, like I have learned over time, you better move. There's a reason spirit is asking you to do it. That's what happens when we created Lightshine Lab, formerly Lightworkers Lab. That's when I created my first online program, which was called Yes, You Are Psychic. Like spirit gave me the desire to do it, and boom, I said yes to it. So I did start a podcast. It is called Life Magnetics. Yeah, Life Magnetics. Because here's the thing, okay? We're going to get into it. We're going to be talking about some of the teachings that I'm geeking out about, and we'll go over different lessons. But ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to be revealing some channeling that came through to me during COVID about the magnetic nature of us. Okay, the magnetic nature of us as an oversoul, our I am on your shirt. It's perfect. It's all glittery and magnetic right now.
Yeah.
we're magnetic at that level, but we're also magnetic here, and we attract based on this principle. And so there's a whole teaching that Spirit has dropped down about life and mind magnetics and the different minds that we occupy. So the podcast itself is for anybody who's interested in getting into the masters who teach on manifestation, but also divine nature and like occupying divine nature. But at some point, probably next year, beginning of next year, I'm going to be sharing my teaching on life magnetics. That's why it's called that. So it's a new podcast. If you'd like to subscribe, I would be very grateful. If you want
Did
to
you publish something yet already? And I didn't even know about that. How did you didn't tell me
I also
that?
created a group. I created a group associated with my text community, because I have a text community. If you want to join it.
I know. I need to join your text community.
You should. TextCAC.com, and you'll have a number. All you just text it. You can be part of my community. But I told those people about the podcast, and I told those people about a group. And so we have a dedicated Facebook group. It's called Life Magnetics, there to support the podcast. But really, if I'm feeling froggy, if I'm feeling like here comes Spirit, I'm going to jump on and just do some teaching in the domain of, well, what I'm talking about. So I popped up, what was it, guys, Tuesday night? I think I got an email on Tuesday from somebody. I'm just like, oh, here comes Spirit. And I got up and I just shared some perspectives with the people that were there. And I think there's like already 60 some odd people in that little group. And if you want to join me, just look up Life Magnetics on Facebook. If you want to geek out with me, if you want to really be present as Spirit's moving me with the spontaneity.
I can't believe I'm so out of the loop.
I know. Well, you've been busy, girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to bug you.
It's never a bug.
Workshop and
here, I'm posting these things in the
thank you.
chat so folks can see it. I did the textcac.com.
I hardly ever text the community, although on that day when it was all happening, I texted like 3 or 4 times. But I don't bug people on text. I hate being bugged, period. So if I'm writing you, it's because I'm dropping something, I'm doing something, I'm moving in a certain direction, and I'm telling the people that are most motivated to stay connected with me.
Is the Life Magnetics Facebook group, is it open? Is it an open group?
It is an open group, but it might be Life-Magnetics.
Oh, no, I found it.
Is it Life?
Yeah, Life Magnetics with Anne Compton. I put it, I have it right here. So what I put there.
It's open. It's private, but it's open insofar as you can find it and ask to join. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to like have, some kind of, prerequisite is what I mean.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I requested. I will await to see if I am.
I'll think about it. Of course. And anybody who wants to like drop and go live or like talk about stuff, like they can. It's like the Lightworkers Lab when I first started it in 2000 and I never remember, 16, whatever it was.
16, yes.
When it was just like 100 people, and
it was in the summertime too. It was around this time that you started it, I believe. So it's like 5 years almost to the day. Wouldn't it be interesting? Well, you can actually go see when you started the group. Wouldn't it be funny if you actually did it on the anniversary or something?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it would be something like that. But it's kind of like that vibe. It's just like we're all there because we have this focus in common and we're just talking about it. So yeah, join me if you want. If you don't, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Free hugs, y'all. Come and get them. Woo!
I'm looking here at Ashley. Today is her baby girl's second birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, baby girl.
For a reading. Okay. Well, I mean, should we do you want to start getting into offering some readings?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to
grab my cards. I'm going to go ahead and, if you see anyone that I'm going to unhide that. If you see anyone, I'm just going to grab my cards. I'll be right over there, and I can still hear, but I'll be off the screen for a second. I'm going to put you on. Take me off for a second. Sure. It's not weird.
Somebody named Facebook user said, wow, 5 years. What a beautiful thing you started, Crystal. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's changed. And with growth, that's going to happen. And I still hear from people who were with us way back in the day, and they're like, I miss the old Lightworkers Lab when it was just, a bunch of people, 200 people. So, but I dig having both spaces, one a little bit more intimate and also supporting the podcast, and then this bigger one because there's so many cool people here. And that was always my vision of the Lightshine Lab. Like it was initially about students of my programs and my work, but then it became about a place. It's really a lab. It's an incubator for people who wanted to shine their light and get out and teach and offer and, ask questions and all of that. So it's become something so fantastic and I love it. But I also kind of like just the little.
You just needed a new baby. It's just like when you miss your baby.
I was gestating. And it was coming.
Your gestation process was 5 years.
Gestating with an alien.
You're like a double elephant. It was 5 years.
Yeah. Totally. True.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Things mature, things evolve. But anything that is of value or service, well, then it'll be born again, or it'll show up in some other way. And so here we go.
Fun. Sorry, I didn't pick anything. Just kept
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about for readings. If you would like a reading, please do drop it in the comments here. We would love also if you're joining us on Facebook and you haven't yet qualified your name with StreamYard. That just means clicking the link that's in the description here. It says something. It's just like Facebook
.com/StreamYard.
Yeah, it's up there. You can click through and it'll just take 2 seconds. And then that way we can actually see your name. And that just helps us to hook into the energy. And that way we don't have to call you Facebook user. And yeah, and so drop a little something in there. If you're on YouTube or something like that, we can see your name already. Put a little description in there of what it is that you would like some insight on, but not too much because we can't probably read the whole thing, and then you don't want to over define it. But general reading will just bring you a very general response.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you just want a general reading, we'll probably pull a card and it'll be pretty general. But if you have a specific question, get specific. That helps us to hook into what's going on with you. Also, kind of keep your question somewhat brief because sometimes if you type a whole lot, we can't actually open it up and see the whole thing. So a couple of sentences at the most.
Excuse me. Let's see. Okay, well, this is it's kind of general. Dina says, I would love a reading, wondering if stepping back is the right thing.
I just got a yes. So You asked me a yes or no question. I'm going to give you it very quickly. Yes. I don't know what it is or why, but yep. I don't know. What did you get anything?
I didn't even tap in to it yet, but now, so, I mean, it feels like my answer is, if it's a yes or no, it's a yes, because really that's not even the question. The question is about something that you're working on, and that the whatever it is that you're needing to step back from is just a distraction. And so, but it's not actually the answer to what the real thing is that's creating some kind of discomfort or, whatever you want to call the discordance in your vibration. So, yeah. That's what I pick up on.
So the card that popped up. Oh, sorry. The card that popped up was death. Don't get scared. Death is a good card. Like in the tarot or in the oracle cards, death is a good card. This is just the ending of one thing and the beginning of something new, and can be the walking away of something, like sloughing off skin, if you will, and starting a new path or moving in a different direction. And so that would confirm to me kind of my intuition that it's probably good for you to step back and reassess and make sure you're going in the direction you want to go.
But your card matches your shirt almost perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey.
It's identical.
You can do.
But my card, I think with yours, actually, it's the healer. You're powerful. You have powerful healing gifts. Have faith in your abilities. Stay true to your path as a healer. So if there's the death of something, there's also the healing of it. So very cool. Awesome. Okay. Move on to something. Here's something here. Okay. You have something for Michelle? You want to take her?
Oh,
I can tap in if you like.
I'll let you do it.
Okay.
I'll come in and augment.
Around my business. So I just see that you're keeping yourself small, and that the things that you are feeling are not moving or not manifesting or something like that. They're really just. They're really, so it's funny. Spirit was saying they're really just issues for you to deal with inside. And I was arguing Spirit as it was coming out of my mouth. Like, that's not really just for humans. That's hard. It's the hardest thing we do. But they are saying it that way because they want us to feel lighter about it. That it's actually, that the growth and the healing is is way easier than the discomfort that we feel when we are in the state of not being healed. And then what pops to mind is this quote from Eckhart Tolle that the mind makes so much more of life. I'm paraphrasing. The mind thinks that things are so much more important than they are. Things of life are so much more important. And so if we can lighten up and really just take them one at a time, lovingly giving yourself permission to empower in those certain areas. And actually now, as I say that, it may be because I don't know if it's to soften the message or to refine it. It feels like you do really well. You actually, you're skilled and you're moving forward, and that it isn't all, maybe it's kind of like the Eckhart Tolle thing. It isn't all that, there's not that much inhibition. Okay, so they said the reason I just said the word refinement was we're just talking about refinement, and it's right there before you. And that anything else? So yeah, just it's the personal things that will start to shift the outside reality. And the card is sensitivity. And look at that beautiful activation. You have some augmentation? Or you have something to add?
Yeah, I do. So I pulled 2 cards. The first one was focusing on your goals, being clear about what your goals are. This also is associated often with continued exploration, education, things of that nature. This is important for you right now to really be focusing on what you want to grow in your life. And it is connected with breakthrough. In doing so, there is a breakthrough. There's an opening in the energy, and momentum is gained. So if there's a feeling of potentially being stuck or wondering about what to do, the key is to focus and to continue to explore and to continue to enrich yourself. And the breakthrough comes through that endeavor, whatever that might be for you.
Awesome. I see that Jonathan, and it was at the last Lightshine Live that we were up live that we talked about the queer love summer. So he says, so I've had a little bit of queer love summer, awesome, as you had encouraged me, but there's an intense work crisis this week and I'm feeling frazzled and tense, though supported by great colleagues. I'd love to know a reading as to what to do or not to do to prevent any conflict escalation. Okay. You want to start?
Well, one thing Tricia Carr told me a couple of years ago that I've never forgotten is to take the energetic and spiritual position of assuming that everyone is doing the best that they can and everyone is trying at the highest level in any moment. It may not feel that way because what they may be showing you is something that is antagonistic to you. But if we can actually come from that perspective, we can access our own compassion and we can usually stay centered in the midst of it. Because if I know, even though you might be acting out, if I know that you're doing the very best that you can and that you're regarding me with love, that you care about me, if I can start with that premise, then I can pretty much adjust around anything that you're doing, because I'm starting with the premise that there's love and that I love you and that you love me, that you're doing the best that you can. So that is just a quick lesson. I remember when I asked you, Tricia, it was some sort of a relationship thing. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. And you're just like, well, how about just assume she's doing the very best that she can? And it just flipped the switch for me and allowed me to be able to deal with what was happening with grace and compassion.
Yeah, that's great, especially how, he's concerned about conflict escalation. And so if you're offering that assumption of they're doing the best they can, then it actually holds space for them to do that. That's how, literal energy is. And so that could help with, decelerating. Okay, and so the card that I pulled is first chakra. So the energy of the root chakra supports our sense of safety in a physical world and reminds us to enjoy our physical bodies. And when we're talking about work, we are so activated in the root, and everybody's activated in the root. And that's probably why conflict feels so hot and heavy when it has to do with work, because it's all tied to this. It's got like this death string, like work equals money equals survival equals death. You know what I mean? Like all of these things. It's a house of cards. So maybe spend some time with your own root chakra, loving it, trusting it, and then just help it to well up its energy to support the whole energy system.
Yeah, and may I recommend that you definitely engage your imagination and create a chamber through meditation or right before you're going to sleep, a chamber where you can actually have conversations with this person, and in that conversation with this person, you guys are resolving it. You guys are friendly. You hear this person speaking edifying words to you. You speak edifying words to them. There's a lot of love and compassion and a lot of creativity and continued success. And your conversations and your actions in the imaginal chamber reflects this. And you also feelingly occupy the chamber when you're imagining it, meaning you match your frequency and your vibration to what you are manifesting, what you are seeking to manifest. And once that feeling is mixed in with your vision for the relationship, then you are creating it right in that moment. So don't neglect the time that you spend in your, as Tricia calls it, your workshop, the workshop of the imagination or the workshop of meditation, because you can actually shift and move relationships very effectively there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good point. Yeah, it's really awesome. I've told this one story that was about my old boss, and he had, while I was driving to work, and he dropped something on my calendar that was really offensive to me, and it pissed me off, and how dare he, and all this stuff. And then I got to the office and spent 10 minutes in meditation doing Byron Katie's work, turning it around, knowing it was about me and it wasn't about him. Of course, he has the right as my boss to drop something on my calendar. And he's not disrespecting me. I found all of those areas. And then as I was coming up out of my little workshop time, my phone went, and I'm like bringing myself up. My phone went, ba-dum, he had deleted it. Why don't I use my powers for good more often?
Right. They are powerful.
All right. Well, this is a hashtag ask.
Okay. Oh, you've been in an intensive, I see.
Yes. And planning on doing the mediumship workshop. Will that be enough for my development into that modality? Well, of course, we don't know. I would say I'm still developing my mediumship modality. So I guess from one perspective, I would say no. But yeah, it's everybody is different. People will be in, let's say, for example, a development circle, and they will be there for several circles before they can even, bring themselves to practice, where someone else can show up their very first time and they're just like, I got to practice. I'm going to do it. I don't even know how to do this. I don't even know if I believe in it. So everybody's different. And I know you're asking me to read your energy about it. I think that it would be a nice catalyst, a nice download, a nice immersion. But I really think that you want to see your development more. So probably development circle. And Michelle, I know you've done intensive. Did you do the intuitive intensive? Maybe do that. If you did do it already, maybe do it again. But, a little more honing. And that's what I think is you really want to, it feels a little limiting. I'm just going to say your question feels a little limiting. Is that going to be enough? So I want you to just be patient and that's not because you're stingy or greedy or anything like that. It's because you are not giving yourself permission to just to relish in the wonderful growth of your skill. I mean, that's beautiful. That's fun. So I'd love for you to have the opportunity to enjoy that as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, okay. I got a teacher in me has to tell you that this is something that exists inside of you already. Your mediumship is inside of you already. And remember, in the intuitive intensive, we talk about how the psychic abilities are like lights in a house that begin to turn on the more you are in alignment with your divine nature. Like that is paramount. You're being in alignment with your divine nature, and you running the energy of that is what powers up all the electricity. That's the electricity in your house. It turns on all the lights. And so the mediumship is already inside of you. And all we really need to do is to evolve it. And so, of course, putting yourself in the space of a program or a workshop where you have the opportunity to do that is only going to be of benefit to you. It's going to help you to turn those lights on and be in the energy of that. But it's not something that we give to you. And even the workshop, although it's going to be fantastic, it's not something that does it for you. That can only happen inside of you. And really, it is contingent upon you saying yes and trying, you saying yes and putting yourself in the space of that, you saying yes and doing it. You know, we talked about this in the intensive. It's kind of like walking off of, or just jumping out of the nest, if you will, and just learning to fly. You don't know if you're going to fly. You don't know if you're going to fall, but you're doing it anyway because you're trusting. And that's kind of the catalyst that gets you into the space that you want, which for you is the mediumship. I feel good about it. I mean, of course, I'm going to tell you to do it. All of the programs that we offer are like high level, high value, but don't forget that this is something inside of you, and it's really for you to turn on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to shout out to the amazing Jeremy Stangness. Hi, honey.
Hi, Jeremy. Miss you.
We just had a troll, and Jeremy is an admin on my YouTube channel. So he went and he said, "Get out of here."
Thanks,
I don't
Jeremy.
like that we call them trolls, though. Trolls are flower fairies.
We got to reclaim that.
Yeah.
Agitators. They're agitators.
We had a meanie pants. Yeah, an agitator. And Jeremy said,
"Thanks, Jeremy.
We only love here." So thank you.
Awesome.
And sorry, you guys, if you did see it, sorry for the sticky energy that shows up sometimes.
Yeah, it does. It's okay. We love you. It's all right. Yeah. We don't always have to agree on things. We don't have to be in alignment at all times. We release you with love. Bye, agitator.
One of his comments was exposed.
Really? Don't make me do it.
I'm like, are you going to show my credit score? What's happening? I don't get it. Okay. Let's see. June has been a real flippin' month for me. Well, we did have Mercury retrograde for a lot of it. I'd love to know what Spirit has for me for July. Okay.
This is Maria Cotter, by the way.
Oh, it is? Okay. Mm-hmm. How could you tell?
I'm on Facebook as well.
I see. Okay, great. Okay, my love. Nice to feel you, my friend. Well, no wonder, because I was actually feeling like you already know how to turn this around, and you already are. So there's like, are we in? Yeah, we're not through the first week yet. So I was feeling like the first week is kind of like shifting that energy over. So I think there's been some. There have been some disruptions. I know there's been some disruptions. I can't remember if that's something that I've heard from you or if that's something that I'm picking up right now. I can't tell the difference right now. So just if that is really a shaking up of energy, that is really a moment to pause. And yes, it was coupled with Mercury retrograde. That was no coincidence. So it did give the moment of pause. It did give the moment of shaking it out. You know, it's unfortunate it's only unfortunate because we value things as better or worse. It's like I'm being reminded of like glossolalia, that you have even the YouTube video, Crystal, on it. Mm-hmm. And of course that is associated with speaking in tongues, but also like guttural sobs and belly laughs. Like they both benefit us in the same way. And so while this disruption was a little bit more of the quality of the crying, or that kind of, unpleasant thing, that it was just a shaking up of the energy. It's a cyclical thing. It's like a seasonal thing. There was an earthquake or there was a storm. And if you could be more objective, that'll help you to continue to move, because you are plugging forward. You are plugging past it. And it feels like until there's still some labor, there's still some stuff, it's requiring your focus and it's requiring your energy. However, you're moving forward. So anyway, when you say what July has to hold, I see the first week of July still like kind of transitional or kind of like moving, a little heavy, because you're laboring a bit with some of the June energy, and then it just brightens and lightens up for those next 3 weeks. And then you even out to where you're like, oh, it's just fine now. Everything's fine. And then celebration is the card that you got. So that's good. So we got a sunshiny July. Yeah.
Yeah. Just very quickly. Just Spirit said she's getting in her own way. Right here in this earball. It's getting in her own way. And maybe this is through your engagement and interaction with that which you would consider as to be going wrong. Is it going wrong? Or is this here just another teachable moment? Is this just something that's happening for your ultimate edification? Because as it turns out, all things happen for the good of those who are in their divine nature and pursuing their divine path. All things work for the good. And when we start reacting to what's going wrong, then we perpetuate it. Then we continue the cycle of it. And now it's happening for a longer period of time. So to the degree that you are reacting and not kind of staying in your divine center, which you're human, that's not always easy, but Spirit would say, and just remind you, like, that's where you want to be. You want to be in that divine center, in the flow of Spirit. And that's kind of what just takes you out of this sooner rather than later. And while she was saying end of July celebration looks good, I was getting August, like August, things are becoming more peaceful for you, and you're coming at it with kind of a different energy. So don't worry, don't sweat the small stuff. Lighten up, baby. God's in love with you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, it's like things happen. I mean, life is happenings, and so like the weather, but our resistance or strong reaction to it is what creates more karma around it. And I think sometimes we just think things are happening. Why are they happening? And it's like sometimes it's season, and we are learning from it, sure, but it's not always like karmic unless we react to it. So that and sometimes when we react to it that strongly, or we're not staying in the divine nature, as you say, we are creating karma, but it might even be superficial. So it's not like a big deal still. We can snap out of it or snap into it, however you look at it.
Tricia, do you know that there are some people who create their own karma from one event for the rest of their lives? They just keep reacting to it. I know someone who had something legitimately traumatic happen to them in their 20s, and they're now 70, and it's still all they talk about. When you sit down and start talking to them, it's all they lead with. It's where they always end up, and they're still reacting to that. And because of that, they just haven't felt the sweetness of life and the creativity of life. They've just been stuck in a space. And surprisingly, many people spend their whole life just reacting to something that didn't go right according to them, and never really getting out of the tailspin of that. So don't be that person, Maria. I know you won't.
Jeremy's working hard. We got another agitator. He's getting it.
Do we? Is it not the same person?
I don't think so. And because you can block them. And so, yeah.
You can block them here too, if you click on their comment.
I am trying to, but every time I do, I get an error message. But that could be because Jeremy already did it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. There are people in my family too that, and I don't want to, because you mentioned your father, but he's passed, so we can tell his story.
We could. I'm always doing that. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Dad. You deserve it.
But there are people in my family too where they're like talking about something, and I'm like, oh my God, that was 50 years ago.
I know. Like, hello.
Let's move on.
Why is it so active? Like, doesn't need to be like that. It really doesn't. That's not to diminish anyone's trauma, by the way.
Of course
absolutely.
Not.
And like, once you get ready to release it, like, that's perfect, and you get there when you're supposed to. Yeah. But some people just never realize that should be the process in life. Yeah, working through it and getting over it.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you see one? Are you?
I'm not paying attention. I'm just having a good time.
Okay.
I'm here for the free hugs.
All right. Here's one. We don't have the name. It says Facebook user, but I finally completed my relationship review and ended things with my longer term partner. Any insight on next few months for me?
Okay. Well, it feels really good.
Congratulations. Yes.
Yeah. That feels really good. I would try and find you on the feed here, but that's all right. It feels really good, actually. This is exactly what you were supposed to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, says the world of spirit and your divine emissaries. This is exactly what needed to happen in order for there to be critical and impactful openings in your life going forward. In the next 3 to 4 months, well, you've asked about the next few months. The next 3 to 4 months, we have a lot of divine synchronicities happening around you with people, and not relationships or love necessarily, like, that's not what I'm talking about, but just your creativity, like what you want to create and what you want to do, because you removed this literal human obstacle from your path that really opens up to you. So your work with regard to this is to be observant, because lots is going to be on offer from the world of spirit, meaning your angels, your divine emissaries, who, by the way, they're just like, thank God. Oh my God, she did it. All right, here we go, guys. So they're going to be offering a lot of different things. Some of these will be small, some of them will be larger, and it's up to you to notice them. So many of us, we don't receive the blessings from spirit because we're just not paying attention. And so you've got to be looking for those patterns. You've got to be looking for relationship review. You've probably been in an intensive, so you already know what the rock is cooking here. You already understand what we're talking about, but make sure you're paying attention because there's going to be a lot. And make sure you're in your workshop space. This feels like such a new start for you too. Lots of really good new energy. So we love that you did this. It's perfect that you did. You're trying not to spend too much time thinking about it. That takes up energy and space, but just releasing. And then when it pops up and you think about it, or something, a condition appears, which reminds you of that, we just love it. Thank you. We just love this person, and we release you once again with compassion and love. And then we pivot and we keep it moving in the direction of our creativity for you, what it is you're building or want to build for yourself. In the next season of your life, we've got some acceleration here. So it feels real good. Facebook user, whoever you are.
That was beautiful. I'm laughing because you're right. It is the same person, and they're logging into different profiles. I'm being entertained by it. And now he says, "You're not going to win, Jeremy."
Oh, come on, Damien.
So I just want you to know that it's funny. What you're doing is not bothering us. It's entertaining us.
No.
Which maybe that's what your deepest heart's intention is. That's what I believe.
Well, what is the spiritual imperative behind agitating? What is the spiritual imperative around trolling? Why do people feel they need to be put into spaces that they apparently abhor to criticize it? Why? What's the imperative there that makes a person want to do that? And that's really what you want to serve. That's really what you want to heal. Not that you're open to that, Damien, but that's okay. We love you. It's all right.
Yeah, that is.
I got a hug for you, Damien.
It's a really good. That's such a great question. It's such a good conscious question, and it's not always easy for us to ask that. We aren't fussed by that at all. It doesn't bother me at all. The little bit of comments that are coming through, and so. That doesn't bother me, but it's obviously harder for us to do that when we have an emotional sensitivity. If someone's being unkind to us in some relationship or some situation, it's so hard to ask that question, but it's always available to us. And in fact, when someone, and this is something that Crystal and I, and we will be going over in the Enlightened Entrepreneur, but it's
come join us, Damien.
Yeah, that Crystal and I, that's one of the names he used. Yeah. Jeremy put cue evil laugh with him and his little kitty photo.
He's got this.
So sorry. What is being serviced, or what is being attended to? And because that's really we're reaching for our own healing, and there needs to so I was saying is that it's something that Crystal and I have had to and still have to come to reckoning with, because we do put ourselves out there in the wild, wild west of the YouTube and the whole social media streets, where if you have a post that has any kind of attention, you're going to get someone who's calling you something awful, and they are reaching for their own healing. They're sourcing from their own. It's like they need to off-gas their own pain, and they're actually unconsciously reaching for their own healing. And it reminds me of my friend Tomek, who told a story on Facebook and last week or so ago during Pride Month, and he's like, "Here's my Pride story," and oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful share that he did. He put it on public form, so I don't mind paraphrasing it a little bit, but basically his whole childhood, he was called too girly, and he was rejected even from the time he was very little. And then he told the story of being in junior high, where the kids, one shift of kids had to sit while a third shift had to walk to lunch, and so some were observing and some were walking. And he said he was walking to lunch, and he heard this chant, this yelling and this cacophony, and he started to quicken his pace because he was worried there was something to worry about. And then he realized that everybody was chanting the F word that ends in OT at him. And he was horrified and terrified. He was scared. Anyway, he ended his story with saying, "I know they were reaching for their own healing." And he was basically the avatar of their own pain so that they could see it. They projected their pain on him. And here he is well, he's only 21, I'm sure officially, but he's about my age. And, you know, such a beautiful healer and such a beautiful light. And he, you know, he made it through that horror and terror. I can't even imagine experiencing that as a young person. I've seen things like that when I was a little kid, and I would have crumbled in the corner as an empath and like done nothing helpful.
Right. Yeah. I grew up in high school in the 80s. Like it was a whole different ball game, and a lot of that stuff happened. And, you know, it does seem so crazy in the world right now, and like people shrieking on the internet and so divisive and polar opposites, politically, socially, economically, and all those things. But at the end of the day, we're a lot kinder in application. Like I remember when my child was going through high school, I juxtaposed that with my high school experience. And I'm like, you know, she stands up for the bullies. She came out when she was 13 in parochial school at Good Shepherd in Denver, Colorado. And they didn't really know what to do, but they did the very best that they can. And I just noticed in her whole student body, they were just kinder. They cared about the kid that got picked on. Whereas me, you know, we just kind of kept on walking because we didn't want to get picked on if we didn't. The world really is thinking about being more compassionate, and maybe some of the ways that we're requiring other people to think rightly is a bit distorted and heavy-handed, and maybe even we could say that it's wrong. The end result, though, is that we're shifting the way we're thinking about treating other people, and that's the beautiful thing. Yes. And I just want to reinforce what you say, especially if you're putting yourself out there on social media. If you are somebody who's in a spiritual business, you do 100% become the avatar of somebody else's process, especially if you're a spiritual teacher, or if you're going to be doing any mentoring or like reading for other people. You do become an emblem of what they want to heal in themselves. And that's really a strange place to be. I mean, I've had people in my life who I consider to be really good friends, or really so I thought, but I noticed that in all of our interactions, they weren't really talking to me. They weren't really seeing me. They were talking at the person they thought that I was, according to what they thought I would want to be hearing. You know, maybe I just want to talk about nothing and shoot the shite, but they felt like they had to. It becomes a little strange. So you really do have to have your own sense of self and presence in the midst of that. And I think that happens in a lot of different ways, in families, in relationships, in love relationships, in work relationships. We become representative of something that person is trying to heal in themselves. And maybe they meet us because their higher self wants them to become conscious to it. You know what I mean? So we play a little bit of a part, but it can't define who it is that we are. Anyway, just thought I would.
Well, you know what? It's also like just the thought of being an avatar, being a representation of something. It's so interesting what we do. We objectify one another by just putting them on something slightly elevated. So in the olden days before technology, if you just raised the politician up on a stage this much, suddenly he had all this authority. And so did the priest and the pastor, raised just this much. And they have this authority, and they are some kind of archetype, not a person. You know, my cat, Franzi, he has, I think, 18 million views on YouTube.
He's a star.
He's a star, and you're welcome. And, you know, Prince is jealous of him, even from heaven. But anyway.
We're all jealous of him.
But he got a viral video in 2014. And when there were some people that know Franzi, like hang out at my house pretty frequently, you don't believe it?
I'm just, where are you going with this? Okay, go ahead.
That when it's like they already knew Franzi, they knew us. But then after he got a viral video, they acted like he was a celebrity. They're like, can we come over and see Franzi? Oh my God, there he is. I'm like, what are you doing? You know him.
He's a cat.
You saw his puke last time you were here. What are you doing?
He's kind of a ding dong.
He's a total ding dong. One of my friends brought over another friend, and they're like, yeah. And they were all like, yeah, I know Angelina Jolie. It's pretty cool.
Right.
You know? I was like, oh my God, he's still the same ding dong weirdo.
Right.
But someone that already knew my cat had like created an avatar out of him. It's really, not in the same, it's a little bit of a tangent from what we're talking about, but it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating. Yeah. I mean, and even we could say that an agitator / troll is making an avatar out of their own process, because we represent something that they're trying to heal inside of themselves, whether it's their association with religion or teachers or whatever it is, who knows, but we become representative of that. And that's just something that's trying to come to the surface in the person so that it can be healed, witnessed and healed. And so for that, we're grateful, super grateful, because we want to be able to serve in that way.
Yes.
Thank you, Damien.
Thank you. I'm one of his other names, I think, was Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you, Jeremy. And you know what Crystal and I do, since if you guys have any, I'm not seeing reading requests right now, but I think this is really great because I know there's a lot of people here you have a message, and if you aren't sharing it on the media platforms, then we want to encourage you to. And it is something, it's going to be a big part of the Enlightened Entrepreneur. And that we got to not let that stop us. In fact, if we can let it fuel us, at the same time we have our sweet friends like Jeremy or ourselves, it's okay to also like usher that out so that other people don't have their mellow harshed by it. But know that there isn't anything it doesn't actually harm us. Even like my friend Tomek, he thought he was literally physically under threat, and there was a good reason to think that. But if we can separate ourselves from that so that the message, we can enjoy the message still that we are bringing through.
Well, if you want to go even deeper down in the spiral, Damien/Steve is showing up to us because we never attract what we want. We always attract what we are. And so he shows up for us so that we can reflect on a piece of us that might need to be witnessed and might need to be healed. Maybe our fear of criticism, maybe our fear of acceptance, our fear of failure, whatever it is for us. He shows up and reflects that to us, which is always just an invitation or an opportunity to find what the right belief about it is and find what the actual divine self-concept is in the middle of that. And what I mean by that is if I have a fear of criticism, which is one of the 6 primary ghosts of fear that Napoleon Hill talks about, is fear of criticism. And that's usually because as children, we were corrected with shame. And so now as adults, we are afraid to be criticized because we just keep activating that shame. So if I had a fear of criticism and I attract a troll, that is an invitation for me to look at that fear that exists inside of me. That's part of my self-concept, and then correct it. And then if I correct it, I start attracting different things, not the same kind of trolls. So it's always just about the process. It's really about the process and the work, which I love.
It is. And having to trust the process, be in the process, be synchronized with it, because that's something I feel, if we're talking about this, like, being able to move forward with your message, if you are called to do this and even, more exposed things. I sat down and had to come to Jesus with my guides. I'm like, come here, Jesus, we're going to talk. And I'm like, can I get to a place where it just stops? Like the anger and and you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, obviously not. Like, it's what you're saying. Like, no, you need to, move past it and find a way to be present with it. And no, humans we're not going to, we want to be rescued. This whole idea of, are we ascending to 5D? Then we don't have to deal with, no, we're not done with it. Sorry.
Got to heal it inside of ourselves before it can heal out in the external world.
Exactly.
God bless it. That's how it works.
All right. I'm looking to see. Yes, Chandra, probably Chandra. I do see your comments. So do you have a request? She says, I would love a reading. Jeremy says that antagonizers make excellent mirrors to scry.
Oh,
this man.
Oh my gosh, write that down. We got to put it on a shirt. We're going to have to start some merch.
We've got to start a Jeremy merch. Okay. Well, Chandra, I can, since you have a general request, I can pull a card.
Yeah.
A unicorn card.
You're pretty, Chandra.
Yeah,
I'll read that. What pretty light in your face. It's just got a glow about you. I love your hair too.
I do too. I was thinking that. I was like, I like that texturing.
Waddleworth reminds me of Wigglesworth. Okay. It's coming with the power.
All right, I'm shuffling. Can you have a card for Chandra? I have a little bit of a headache today because I worked out really hard yesterday.
Me too.
You did?
No.
Gentleness. Oh, and it's all orange and a little bit of yellow. Be kind to yourself and others. Honor your gentleness. Speak words of love. But I have to say, look at the sunset colors and everything. It kind of looks like a color of her hair. That is so for you. So being kind to yourself, Chandra, that's what Spirit wants you to. And I actually even feel like maybe you didn't take the heed of Mercury retrograde and do the thing where you slow down a little bit. Neither did I. But
You really didn't.
well, I did, because
you woke up with your eyes swollen shut. It's your body trying to tell you something, Tricia.
Stop looking at things. I was allergic to the world. My eyes, they got itchy too. Anyway, so so then if you didn't take that opportunity, then maybe do that. But I do feel that what's bubbling up is some self-romance. This is something different than self-esteem, which that's a thing, but I'm feeling more like self-compassion, deepening that. Even different, slightly different than self-acceptance. It's like, it's being so sweet to yourself. So this is saying gentle, and I say, be very sweet to yourself. Oh, because I feel like you are sweet, as Crystal was looking at, your photo and feeling your energy through it. Let's direct that even more deeply to yourself. So that's what I'm feeling. And if there's a particular situation you have in mind,
she's asked
those words
any guidance on her spiritual path too.
Oh, okay.
Guidance on her spiritual. I'm going to pull a card for you. Okay. Education, knowledge, the acquiring of knowledge, spending a good season of your life in pursuit of this. Think on these things that are lovely and feed your mind, feed yourself information that is edifying. Just being in the presence of education and the things that turn you on, that you're really interested in, being in the presence of this education activates so many things inside of you. You're also a good student. Also, you've got some not karmic, I don't like to use that word. You've got some patterns, some timeline stuff that needs to be healed. And in your pursuit of that which you are called to do, these things bubble up to the surface. That's just how it works, right? When we get into alignment with our divine nature and we put ourselves into the space of spirit, all those ancient things, those patterns that need to be sloughed off because they no longer serve and in fact impede, come to the surface where we can become aware of them and then release them. So please know in the next 3 to 6 months, we've got a lot of this that's kind of happening. Some of it can be uncomfortable for you, by the way, but that's just makes it more noticeable. So thank you, Spirit. It's really, and I'm really triggered. I'm really uncomfortable. I really don't want to look at that thing that causes me pain. Well, that's just making it easier for you to notice it so that you can heal it. And so the time for healing is upon you, my friend, which you must say yes to and initiate as well. And in doing so, we release these patterns, these beliefs that no longer serve us. And these actually take up space inside of us, by the way, literal space inside of us. Once released, there's space for spirit to come in and occupy. And when spirit is in the house, that's when things get really fun and dynamic and we're working and moving on our path. Last but not least, you got the message card. You're intuitive. Okay, you're intuitive. You receive messages from spirit. Are you spending enough time in your disciplines and practices? Are you spending enough time communicating with spirit or offering are you a reader? Are you offering? Are you a healer? Whatever it is, you've got this ability and faculty, and this just flows effortlessly from all of this. We do more of this connection with spirit, offering our service to others once we focus on education, filling our mind with the things that edify and working on the things that pop up as a result. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go, Chandra.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Awesome. Yeah, she said she did not. She tried to slow down during Mercury retro. So did I. Try not. Do or do not.
There is no try.
There is no try. All right, let's see. I thought I saw one. Here's one. A reading about working with my spirit team and strengthening my aura daily. All right. Well, I'm going to jump right in because that strengthening the aura.
Mm-hmm.
Strengthening the aura.
Jennifer Golan, by the way. Jennifer Golan.
Great. Jennifer Golan. Okay. Mm-hmm. Strengthening the aura daily. This is something that Spirit has been talking to me about a lot. I mean, my whole spiritual path, because the very first thing that happened to me when I was 11 years old and I got a baptism, I actually had a light body activation. I was in the First Baptist Church of Saginaw, and I got a light body activation from that pastor's dunking. At any rate, how did you say it? Strengthening your aura as a daily. Yes, daily. So we are, and more than daily even, so we are welcoming light. For me, that is a visualization of light filling my aura and my energy. And, but it's more than that. It's not just a visualization, not just clairvoyant imagery. It is the energetic practice and the, where we are flushing out everything else, but because it is outseated by the purity of that light. We do this regularly now in ceremonial magic. This is it's included in the LBRP, and, being able to fill your field with that light so that we are crystallizing our aura. We are crystallizing our aura with light. This body is just crystallized light. And so we want to crystallize it with the light of source, the light of God. Crystallize body, crystallize mind body, crystallize emotional body, crystallize the whole of the aura and the spirit body. So the fact that you are already aware of this, like you say, strengthening my aura daily, boom, you got it. So now it is just love the daily strengthening or crystallizing of your aura. But they say it's more than just doing it at the times of the day when you have the specific times to be able to have your meditation, have your prayer, have your energy healing, that to connect the lines so that the light of your aura, the crystallizing of your aura, is a path of light that you are moving in, a frequency of light that you are always in. Because I do feel it on your path for that you are here to be like a mirror, and to rather than creating more karma yourself, you are coming from that more, like, what we say, like the wanderers, coming from a higher perspective, volunteering to come here to be able to anchor light, hold light, and to be basically a mirror or a reflector of the light in this space. That doesn't mean that life moves smoothly and peacefully outside, but it can be smooth and peaceful inside, with holding the light and holding that knowledge of it. So it's essentially just being more like in it's Hindu, I believe, where they talk about the divine play, where you're able to be the seer, and that's not apathy. As a matter of fact, you care even more, and you have more of a compassion that is coming from such a high perspective. In therapy work, we would call it clinical compassion, where we have real compassion, but we're not actually matching the frequency of it because we are holding the higher perspective and believing of the person to be able to heal from it. Well, it's clinical compassion, but it's more ascended than that because it's divine compassion, where you're identifying to the higher light so much so that your field is crystallized in it and that you are able to hold that space for everyone. It doesn't mean you won't cry. It doesn't mean that you won't grieve at certain times of life. And it just means that you are operating from more of the higher mind perspective. So basically, the guidance here is to keep going as you are, and then also connect the dots of the times that you are working with your spirit team, strengthening your aura, and allow that to be a being practice. Beyond doing, before doing is being. And so to identify to the fact that you are being the light always. Oh, you're muted. Let me unmute you. Oh, no, you have to unmute you.
Sorry, that was me. Love it. Chandra did say thank you for the intuitive confirmation, just starting reading with cards, even if only practicing them on myself. So that makes sense because that came through. And I really strongly, Chandra, want to encourage you to check out the LDC, the Lightshine Development Circle. For just $22 a month, you can join 2 circles, 2 hours each, where you can practice giving and receiving intuitive readings, as well as energy readings, any kind of readings that we all do as spiritual people. It's just such a good place. It's an incubator for you to just continue to do what you're being called to do in a very safe space with others who are sharing the same calling. So do check it out. I think you would really love it. What is it?
I got it.
Class dot.
I'm posting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what I think is really cool is that she said she's just started to practice with cards, and your reading was card, like more card involved. You had 3 cards and everything. That's pretty. I think that in and of itself is an evidence and a validation
Confirmation.
for you.
Awesome.
Cards are so fantastic. I think everyone would do well to be working with cards. And I mean, sometimes I don't work with them daily or something, but they're just such a fantastic tool for seeing your intuitive abilities, your intuition show up for you, because you really start to feel it if you allow yourself to be in that space.
They're little portals. Each card is a portal.
We have this question here about when the next circle is.
It's next Tuesday.
Tuesday? Yeah,
It's
Tuesday.
the second Tuesday of every month and the 4th Saturday of every month. So next Tuesday, which would be, I don't know, I want to say the 6th.
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah. What if I told you I just uploaded a selfie to my Instagram?
Good for you. I'm glad.
I totally did.
I took a bunch, and I was surprised that some of them actually I didn't hate them. I'm like, so I'm grousing about it more than I need to.
You are. You'll send me some, and you're like, it's just okay. I'm like, you're a goddess. I know. You're just, you're gorgeous.
I'm working through it.
It's okay, Mama.
It's not my best.
You don't have to be everywhere at the same time all the time. You'll get there when you get there.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
All right.
So because I have this Dava, by the way, I told them I would gladly share with Dava. It's this video editing company, and so they're helping me to upgrade and understand YouTube a bit better too. So I'm having to get a little better at things instead of Dina, our social media manager. She's like, "Can you put your face on the thing?" And I'm like, "Oh,
It's a selfie. Yourself should be in it."
I know." So this is, Cheryl said that I've been told I'm a healer. I truly want to help others. Are there any messages to help direct me? Well, I mean, I'm saying right away that LDC, or some, if not that one, but find one in your area. Really, really, you need to be immersing yourself in the space of doing. You have the potential. When we have the potential, we have the feeling, we are attracted to it. I mean, you're here watching this, listening to this, then that's kind of sign number 1 that you are even interested in it. And then we need to put ourselves in the doing of it, because the language of manifestation is physical action. That's not me. That's Bashar, Darylinka.
Say that again. The language of
manifestation is physical action. We get all kinds of downloads all day long. Well, your story, and I think your story came out the right way, but it's a good example where you got the download about the book, which became The Secret. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's just, I definitely you want to see it manifest. To give it the space.
You've got to create the space for that. And I would agree with healing energy for you, Cheryl. That does come through. But it's more than that. You are a highly intuitive person. You're also an empath. So you are able to read other people through sensing in yourself their feelings and their emotions, and also their physicality. If you pay attention to this, you also have empathic qualities as well. It's about having a vision for yourself. Like, how do you want to move forward with this? And so you want to serve people. I love it. We love that. What's your vision around that? Do you want to be a Reiki practitioner? Do you want to study energy healing? Do you want to learn about your intuition? Like, how do you want to apply this? Get a vision for yourself. It doesn't have to be super specific. You're just going to know, I want to get the education for this. I want to put myself in a community of other people, for example, in the circle, and I want to be able to practice. That's my vision. Have that for yourself, and then really, if you feel it strongly, I'm sorry, guys, I'm geeking out. I'm always talking about feeling is a secret. If you feel it strongly, like this desire inside of you, if you truly let that well up, which you should, because it's your calling, let that well up in you, and you have a vision, something that you can connect to, then the subconscious, which is your creator self, it's your universal you. This is the aspect of yourself that's always creating your reality. The subconscious will present to you where you should go, what you should do, who you should be with, and how it's going to work. She materializes everything you need in order to fulfill and embody the vision that you have for yourself. But you got to have it. So you got to know what you want to do so we can take those action steps. So I love that for you, though. It feels good.
And isn't it interesting, as you refer to the subconscious as she is divine feminine, and yet we've had this ass backwards doing him energy. And I'm not saying men are bad. I'm saying that the masculine, the divine masculine, has been misused, quite frankly, to where it's not divine masculine. It is an imbalance, and it's just the wrong way. It's the cart before the horse, when it's actually the subconscious mind that, creates.
Well, it's the law of polarity. So for everything, there's an opposite to it, or there's a shadow to it, which would be a better way to say it. So the divine masculine is obviously wonderful, but there's a shadow aspect, and we have been dwelling in the shadow for far too long. We need to become conscious to this in order to bop on back into the divine aspect of it, both feminine and masculine.
This person says, physical action came in as a part of my intention for the Enlightened Entrepreneur. Awesome.
That's Miss Brooke Davis.
Oh, Miss Brooke.
Yes.
Oh, Brooke's about to go live, by the way. We are.
Oh, we gotta go.
Well, we're opening for Brooke. We're her opening.
Are we?
Act. Yeah.
We're opening it.
I know. I don't know what to do. I hear an echo too, but I don't know what to do. But I actually have in monitors, so I don't know why there's an echo. I think it's on Crystal's end. I know.
I don't hear an echo.
And I don't hear it right now. It went away. I don't know what to do, you guys. I think it's coming from, because I have monitors in, it could have been coming from your side, but oh, it's back again.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
No, you don't have to be sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Hope it's not too distracting. All right. Well, anything else, Miss?
Oh, I'm ready for a glass of wine.
All right.
I mean,
I got to go for a walk.
You've got to work out. Look, here's the thing.
Maybe I'll go on a hike.
I have got to find out how to build time for exercise.
It's hard.
I have so much to do.
I know.
But I have to, especially at my age now. Like, if you don't use it, you do lose it. Like, and I just, from the moment I get up, I'm like, boo, 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 boo. I got all these things going on. You know this. We share chats and stuff, and we're creating things. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to go for a hike, Tricia Carr? I can't.
I know.
Well, the fairies are like, the fairies in time. They're like, come on. Yeah. You're in an eternal moment. You can do it.
Yes.
I just have to be disciplined. What I have to do is wake up earlier, and I'm not willing to do that yet. So that's my problem. I'm not willing to wake up at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. I'm holding on to my 9 o'clock, which is a luxury.
Actually, I do wake up at 6:30 or 7 right now, which is unfortunate when I couldn't fall asleep till 1 last night because I was hot. It was hot out.
I was up till 2 last night.
Yeah.
Drinking. And I woke up at 6:30. I had a little bit of wine, and we watched that movie, Nobody. Tell your husband to watch it. Oh my God, it is so good. Yes, okay. It's with that guy from Better Call Saul.
Oh, yes. I know.
Bad universe, I think.
Bob Odenkirk. Yes, that's right. I actually wanted to watch it because he trained for like 10 years for that role.
Oh my God. It was, we ended up renting it last weekend, and then we ended up buying it last night. And we watched it, and we stayed up until 2. And then we watched Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, I don't know what we were doing. It was just crazy. I'm like, I don't have the discipline. Well, as a man speaks, so he is. I am evolving discipline around going to bed at night at a good time and waking up early so I can actually exercise.
Well, I do. I usually do it. Well, no, that's not true. I do weightlifting stuff usually in the morning, but usually I'm doing cardio in the afternoon, evening.
I am making you an avatar.
So
you're reflecting back to me.
Because, I had to write this I wrote like a 50-page thing, a compendium kind of thing in one day, and almost one day.
You did. It was good.
A little bit.
What I saw.
Yeah, they did a little more prep, but anyway, I wrote almost 50 pages in one day. And the way that I decided, and Spirit had been showing me for a while, as I kept not having time to do it because, it's a bulk. And they'd been showing me for a while that the way I was going to get it done was to sit down and put on a timer for 45 minutes every time I headed in. And then when that 45-minute timer went off, I had to get up and do something, because otherwise I would start getting a little bit counterproductive. You know what I mean? Like it would, the energy needed to reset. So I actually went on a 20-minute walk 4 times that day.
Wow.
And that was a great way. And because otherwise it would have been 1,000 o'clock. I would have been too hungry, tired, and I wouldn't have exercised. But it worked into my manifestation of that. So it worked out really well. But yeah,
Well, I do look up to you though, with your just your discipline and just making time for the things that are important, because I get so lost in creating and like geeking out and doing all the things and obviously programs that we're building, that I just do it. I just do it until I don't want to do it anymore. And then I'm like downtime and I'm not doing anything.
I know, I do that too.
So yeah, it's just, you got to manage your time. There's so many things. There's so many things that you can do. I've got to be able to, I'm going to get better at that.
Well, you have to find it something that you like doing too.
I don't like doing any of that. I don't like doing it. I like to do yoga, but I like the PM yoga before you go to bed. It's just real relaxing.
Oh.
You know, I don't really want to move too much if I don't have to. This is my problem, I suspect. No, I got nothing, you know. I don't know what that would be. Let me tell you, do you want to know what the best workout is? I guarantee.
Sex.
It's no. It's Kundalini Yoga by Guru Mukh. Gurumukh. You can buy it. I think you can get it on Gaia, and I think you can actually find it on YouTube, although I like to pay for things and stuff. But that woman, I think she's a Sikh, and I know she's like 65 to 70 right now. And at the time of the filming of this video, she was 59, and she literally looks 25. Literally looks 25. And it's an hour-long exercise that I made my husband do with me once, and he made it like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and he's just like, do you do this? I'm like, when I can, I do. And I have a hard time walking for the next 2 or 3 days. I have a hard time just sitting down, going to the bathroom.
It sounds like sex.
Kind of. I mean, it's like an hour, and it is the best overall workout you can do. And so it's like sitting in my YouTube, and I don't do it.
All right. Well, I want to invite you to give yourself permission to love yourself into that.
Can I love myself away from that? That's loving too, right? Wherever you are is perfect. But you're right, and I will. But I do think it's so awesome, because I know you've been doing your intermittent fasting, and you've been super awesome with that. And
well, it healed me. I mean, it's almost like it's not even discipline. It was like discipline the first like few days, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I remember you came at the beginning of May, and Jeremy's like, she is so freaking disciplined. And you're like, well, if I'm not, I'm crippled.
I don't feel good.
I'm crippled. I'm like, I guess that would be a good incentive to keep it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
All right. Well, I had really fun.
I had fun too.
And
nice to hang out with you guys. I love you, and I miss you guys so much. It's cool being here. If you want to join my Life Magnetics group, it's one word. It's on Facebook, Life Magnetics. I pop up intermittently there just to talk about things that turn me on. Not like that, but just fun things. And so I would love to see you there. And until next time, never forget what, Tricia?
I love you, whoever you are. That's how I say it.
Me too. I love
we
you
got
too.
nothing for love for you.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
You always stumble on that. I don't know why.
No, I'm saying my catchphrase, and you're saying yours. I was just joking. Yeah. Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Do you have a sense that there's more to life than what you can see?
Lightshine Spiritual Academy presents the Intuitive Intensive, a groundbreaking 8-week program designed to blast open your intuitive abilities and catapult you into a dynamic, connected, and psychic life.
Join spiritual teachers Anne Compton and Tricia Carr in this immersive program of education, high vibration, and group coaching. Class begins the week of January 23rd, 2022.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Tricia Carr, and this is the Magic Hour. Sorry, I did the little video thing. I almost did it a second time. Welcome to the Lightworkers Lab. We are live streaming right into the Lightworkers Lab. It's been a while since I've done one of these on my own. Anne Compton, the founder of the Lightworkers Lab, of course, has been, we've been doing together our Lightshine broadcast. Pardon me while I put on the comments. And so I'm really excited to come together with you guys and do Magic Hour again. So if we haven't met yet, I am Tricia Carr. I am a spiritual teacher, empathic channel, multidimensional medium, and I'm partners with Crystal. We have the Lightshine Academy. We do the intuitive intensive every year, plus a lot of other programs. I hope you guys can hear me really well. I'm new. This is a brand new streaming platform. Let me hold on. I am a spiritual teacher. Yep. Shush. Quiet her down. So the Lightworkers Lab is a spiritual community. It's hosted on Facebook, founded by my dear Anne Compton. And it is just an amazing place for your spiritual seeking, resources, and all kinds of live streams just like this. People up every day, many times a day. And we're going to be doing some readings here in a moment. I'll be taking them right off the feed. You can, I'll tell you when. You don't put them up yet, but I will take them right off the feed. So if you're watching on Facebook, and now you may be watching in the Lightworkers Lab, and if you haven't joined the Lightworkers Lab, I need to join the Lightworkers Lab. People here on the feed will be telling you about it. And you can do that by just going to facebook.com/group/Lightworkers Lab. And there should be a link up in the description or down in the description, however you're looking at it. And, you may be watching this on another Facebook profile. And if you are, I encourage you to click the link that is in the description. That it's a StreamYard link. It's a StreamYard/Facebook or something like that, .com/Facebook. It's right up there. And this will give me access, just verify that StreamYard can show your name to me so that I can see you on the feed when, if you're asking for a reading or making a comment. Now, I'm also live streaming to YouTube. So hello to my YouTubers. Thank you so much for being here with me. I can see your names already. And so this is a first time in a long time that I've done a live stream. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys. So I also have a podcast, in case you didn't know. It's called Charmed Life. It's on YouTube and any way that you get your podcast. So let's see who's here. We have Amanda. Hi, Amanda and Amy. Amanda and Amy were both recently on my podcast. So fun. Hey, Crystal. Hello. There she is. Hi, Tosh. Hey, Jason. So I'm going to see you tomorrow night, Tosh. Hopefully. I know you're in a different time zone for my class, my workshop. And okay, well, again, any Facebook users, if you want to go ahead and click through so I could see your name, especially in a moment when we start to do some readings. But before we get to that, let me just have a little bit of a chat with you about the empathic nature or the sensitive nature. So what's the difference there? I mean, there's some people think of being an empath or a highly sensitive person as just a sliding scale, like HSP, highly sensitive person, is maybe a lower input, and the empath is like higher on the scale. And maybe that's true, but I really just think of them as functions. They're energy functions, the way that the energy runs, the way that you are taking in information. And I think that anyone at any time could be displaying either the highly sensitive person function or the empath function. And then maybe other people emphasize one more than the other. And maybe some people are pretty balanced and they don't necessarily use those tools in that way. These are just tools. So if you're not highly empathic, or if you're not a highly sensitive person, HSP, this doesn't mean that you are, not cool or awake or whatever. It's, again, they're just tools. Intuitive people may also mean people that are using their intuition very, very consciously and very skillfully. They may use their HSP, they may use empath tools, or they may not. They may kind of be relying on something that's more balanced in how they're taking in information and using their intuitive and psychic abilities. But let me just talk a little bit about each of those and talk about their higher purpose or their high frequency purpose. So I guess I'm an empath, it's like that was the thing that cracked open my whole journey, my spiritual awakening, was understanding this empath tool. But at the time, the reason it was important for me to understand it was because it wasn't being really utilized as a tool. I was using it in a way that it was running in an automated sense without my conscious awareness, and it was creating harm. This is what I think people think being an empath is, or at least a lot of people who are aware of this term, is that an empath feels people's emotions and even their thoughts as though they are their own, like they are natively generated within your own energy, and you can't do anything about it. We differ on that second part. We very much differ. Why? Because we are sovereign spiritual beings. We have absolute free will. That is a universal law of free will. So that means that I can use the tool of being an empath either differently or not at all, or I could turn it off. I can close my energy down. Now, it's probably not easy to just walk around with your energy closed down if you have been having it run as an empath for your whole life, but you can ascend it. You can evolve it. So empath, this is a function where a person is experiencing directly, as though it is native to you, other energies that were not generated from within. But the thing is that when we identify to it, when we're doing that sponging thing, and we are continuing to match that frequency so that we identify to it, then it's become ours. And it doesn't really matter that it came from the outside. So it doesn't matter who it came from or where it came from, because you chose, even if it's unconsciously, to make it your own. And so if it's for example, your friend is going through a breakup and you sponge that in, you may not be having anything wrong with your relationship, or you may have no relationship at all, but you can bring on that sadness and anxiety or whatever, the symptoms may be of that particular breakup, and you can just adapt it to yourself. And so the thing is, this should be good news, is that your sensitivity is not meant to create pain, anxiety, depression, and it's not meant to bring you down. There is a higher function for sensitivity, whether it's the empath sensitivity or the highly sensitive person sensitivity. So that's the empath function, identifying or feeling an energy, whether it's a thought or an emotion, as if it's your own. And I'll talk about how we can do that in the right way. The highly sensitive person is sort of in the energy and reading it, is aware that it's not their own probably, but is responding to it. So is being a counterpart to it. It's sort of like being in the pool rather than drinking the water. That's if that metaphor makes any sense, the empath would be the drinking the water and the HSP would be in the pool. And so in the atmosphere of it and responding to it. And that's kind of the distinction that I see in these tools. Again, they can be utilized. So for the HSP, it's like an awareness zone. It's like your psychic awareness zone, and having it open all the time and being and having it's sensitized. And so you can see how this can be good or bad, because if you're constantly highly sensitized to your environment, then you will be responding all the time, and there won't be any place for you, and there won't be any place for higher functioning. But again, these tools are given to you or are a part of your energy to be tools, indeed to be helpful. So let me just break it down a little bit. To be a high frequency empath, the empath will experience the energy, the thought or emotion is really the energy that we're talking about. And I have a Con in my lap. I'll have to show you him in a minute. It's my kitty cat. They will experience it. It will come into, and you will understand, you will feel it natively inside your energy. But essentially, we decide to not give a complete match to it. And we prefer to hold, what I say is hold the light. And honestly, the empath can do this with their own native emotions too. That we choose to match and identify to the light, to the love, to the hope, to the wellness, even though we also have this other awareness, this other energy with us. And this is just, this is key. If you're empathic and you can identify to any frequency, any energy, then hear this. The reason you came in with that tool, with that ability, is so that you could identify at any time and at all times to the highest possible frequency, to love, or to light, to source energy, to creator. So you see, you have thing one is you have the universal law of free will defines that we have absolute free will. We may call this sovereignty. Number two, you are a powerful feeler, and you came in with this powerful feeling tool so that you could easily feel the thing which is most easy to feel, the highest vibrational frequency of the universe, the natural frequency, love, God, creator. So if we can hold that frequency, and then as something comes into our awareness, whether it's from without or from within, yet we are able to continue to maintain our identity to the light, then what happens is that this great capacity for hope and grace will take over, and then the empathic nature actually transmutes that energy, again, whether it's for yourself or for another. Now, this may take some consciousness training, some fitness, some energetic fitness training, just like training your body to be stronger and more fit. You may need to, we all do. Let's just say that we all need to continue to work on our consciousness, our energetic fitness. And so this is with your practice, your meditation daily. Consistency is much more important than length, I think. But the reason is for an empath, that's so important because the empath, when the tool has been used the wrong way, which is to match all frequencies and seemingly, especially the lower ones, because it's the intention to heal, but the execution is off. Matching a frequency does not heal it. Holding and matching the light while being in the awareness of it, that does allow it to transmute and heal. And so an empath is like a walking prayer. That's the intention. Prayers work. Prayer is the energy of hope, the energy of conducting healing energies. And so the empath is meant to be identified to that prayerful frequency so that then the concerns, the issues come through that, and they are washed in that frequency and sent, whether the other person knows it or not. It doesn't matter. Prayer works anyway. And the reason it's so important for empaths and sensitive people, but sorry, I keep banging the microphone, to have their meditation time. All of the regular reasons that we know about, making contact with spirit, having a relationship with spirit, being able to crystallize your aura, which I'll talk about and explain that in a moment. It's really important in order to make these changes into the high frequency empath and sensitive person. But also because when you are highly sensitive or highly empathic and the tool's been working the wrong way, then you don't know what your own energy feels like. You're constantly pulling in other energies. So you don't know what you feel like. I used to take the Myers-Briggs test, that personality type test. It's based in Jungian psychology. I would take that test. I could take it 10 times in a row and get different outcomes because I had no idea what I felt. I had no idea what was me. I'm like, all these things sound great. Sure. I don't know. Because I didn't have a native land. I didn't know what it felt like. I had a native land. I just didn't know what it felt like. And I didn't know how to have energetic hygiene or have energetic boundaries. Meditation, going in and dwelling within your own energy, reacquaints you to it so that you know what it is. And then that's how you can keep it clear and clean and pure. And that energy within is the energy of source. God gave you God energy. And so that is, to go within is to connect to spirit, or also AKA your own soul energy. So empaths need to meditate regularly because they don't know what they are, who they are. They don't know what they feel like. Same for the sensitive, for the highly sensitive person, because you're constantly responding and you need to discharge and detox and be in that purity and be able to keep your cup full so that it can overflow. And then your response to the situations, to the energies that you're constantly sensitized to, can then be, you can offer healing. You have to be filled up with healing in order to be a healer. You have to be identified to healedness, wholeness, holiness, holistic holiness. That's the word that I'm using here, in order to be able to be the beacon and the conductor, the transmuter, the transformer of the healing energies. So I said crystallize the aura. This is a process that we are in as we are doing our consciousness work, our meditation, and the different energy modalities that we do, our deep trance meditations, our own personal energy healing, inner child, all of the things, inner child work. I cut myself off. Inner child work, for example, or if you're working with a practitioner. And it's whatever, by whatever means that you're actually bringing in pure light into your aura, into your field, then all of those applications, the light begins to crystallize inside your aura so that it's becomes stronger and stronger and more identified and impervious to anything that is contrary to the light, more identified to the light, impervious to anything contrary to the light. This crystallization of the aura is the evolving so that it becomes easier as an empath to have the function of the empath tool be working the right way, so that you're in a situation where there is a lot of pain and you can be the light. You can feel and have deep empathy and compassion and sympathy, and yet you are not taken down by it. You are the strength. You are the beacon. And that's what the empath and the sensitive is meant to be. That's what the purpose is of it. I will say once again, the reason you came in with these strong sensitivities and maintained them throughout this life, the reason that you came in as an expert feeler, is so that you could feel and be sensitive to the highest vibrational frequency: love, light, healing, wholeness, holiness. Given that, there's no need for any protection because you are one. You're one with the all. And if there's only one energy, which is whole, then there is nothing to defend against. And that's what the empath came to anchor. And that's what the sensitive came to shine and vibrate. That's what it means to be a high frequency empath or sensitive. All right. With that, I'm going to start looking at the comments again. And we're going to be up here for about another, I'm going to be up until about 3:30 Pacific. So we have some time to do some readings. I have some cards here. And if you are here too and you want a reading, so let me just tell you that I'm not going to go in order. I'm going to just see what I'm drawn to, and I can put it up on the screen even. And ideally, if you want to give a little detail to your request, because if you ask a very general reading, very general question, you'll get a very general reading. But try not to write too much either, because that will define your information that will come through and not leave as much room open. But on the other hand, I can't actually see all of it. It limits how much text I can see. So it might be, I would like some career advice, if it should take career A or B, for example, or, relationship or something along those lines. So let's get to it. Let me just start to scroll here. Any readings? My husband's coming through right now. Say hi to the internet, honey. Hi, internet. I don't know if you heard him. He said hi, internet. Wave at him. It's YouTube and the Lightworkers Lab. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. He got all scared. He thought it was maybe the Intuitive Intensive. Okay, I'll see you later. Okay. All right. Any requests? Oh, here we go. Let's see. I was just drawn to this one. Oh, it's going away. Let's go. I don't know your name because it's if you, again, just a reminder, if you click in the description, you'll see how you can actually qualify with StreamYard. Just give them permission to give me your name. So I don't know your name, but it says, I'd love a reading. Please ask Spirit what my financial future looks like. Any abundance coming. All right. So I can look at timelines, but timelines are fluid. Timelines, there is no such thing as predestination. There are plans, there are blueprints, but we create in this moment what the next moment will be. And so having said that, I'm being drawn to my sacred geometry cards. And as I'm feeling into your energy in this question, I'll also shuffle and see if a card comes up. Okay, so the first thing I'm drawn to is your heart. And I'm told that there is a lot of, it's heart and solar plexus. So I'm drawn to there being some grief in your heart, which is creating, I don't usually use this word, but they're telling it to me really loudly, a block in the solar plexus. So we're talking about the chakras here, and just so we can be clear on it, the solar plexus is, okay, there's a card that's jumping out. The solar plexus is the inner CEO. It's right here. And there's actually literally a block. So it has to do with self-esteem. It has to do with being able to move forward. Okay, so they're actually telling me that what we have here is, it feels like you have a lot of ideas and creativity, but it just feels like, it doesn't move forward. And the key, and the reason they're talking about this is because the key to the financial abundance and everything for you is to be doing, I would guess probably, if you know human design, that you are a generator, because generators need to be doing things that they love in order to be able to achieve what is their signature, which is satisfaction. And so there is, this is also coming from an imbalance in the root chakra. There's one part of the root chakra that actually feels like it's weighed down. And so I think there's like this ebb and flow. There's like a kind of energy going on. And maybe every now and again, you feel pretty good about what you're doing and security and all of that, but then it hits a real low part and it feels cyclical. Now, I don't know how wide these cycles are for you, and maybe they're not always the same, but there's a cycling here. And by the way, if you want to give me feedback and here in a moment, again, I don't have your name, but maybe I'll recognize it. So, okay. Anyway, that's where we are with the energy. And the first thing I'm going to do right now is just send some clarity here. And what I'm sending to your solar plexus, because I'm sending just pure light. If you want to open your, have the intention to open up to it. And it's coming through really, really strong, honestly, very powerfully. It feels warm, going right into the solar plexus there and just illuminating it. And so they say that you are whole. They want to say you are brilliant. And that what you have to give and how you want to live is the alignment that we all need. You have permission. And this is what they say. You have permission. And we would like you to give yourself permission, even if it's little by little, to begin to pursue the things that you love, because these things that you love are the keys to abundance. The way that you love these things, those are the keys to what is going to bring you the most satisfaction. So you wanted to know when. So let's see if we have a timeline that's okay. So there's something about like 4 to 6 months where we have a little bit of a improvement. And that's just because of how it's the flow, it's the cycle. But for a long-term sustained improvement, we want to work on coming back home to the self, loving the self, and giving oneself permission to gradually, little by little, move in the direction of the things that you love. And they say you have a lot of skills and you have a lot of knowledge, and you maybe you think like, but how? It's like you have hidden tools, because you have a lot of things that you're smart and you're good at, but you don't realize that these things will bring you abundance, because you think people don't make money that way, maybe, or something like that. But people make money a lot of different ways. I have the weirdest job in the world. So just to start to be open to it, and I'm going to quote Bashar, who's channeled by Daryl Anka, pursue your highest excitement, to the greatest ability you have at the time without any expectation of the outcome. So again, the timeline that we have, in 4 to 6 months, we have improvement. In the meantime, you're actually okay. And so what we want to do is use this time to feel okay and to trust and to rebuild the trust, the love, support, and to be able to clear out that solar plexus. All right. So, you can't make this up. Empowerment. That is such a solar plexus word. So that's what your card is, empowerment. We want to build that empowerment. And the message is the frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully and completely, uniting us with others in deep trust. When wasn't the word trust just showing up? We will all, deep trust that we are all connected through the same source. And so the number is, and that's an activation. So the number is 26. 6 is domesticity. 2 is love. Together they are 8. 8 is the money number, yo. So this is good. This is good, hopeful, and it's a beautiful journey. Please affirm to yourself that each moment that you're bringing that light into the solar plexus, into the identity, and loving the self more is a step on the path of light, which is a beautiful, wonderful journey. Actually, I don't think I need these. I have these earbuds in. I don't need them. Ha. All right. I hope that was helpful. Oh, and now how do I get rid of it? I don't know how to get rid of the other comments yet. Let's see. Okay, I have one here. And again, I don't know your name. And it says, any guidance from spirit regarding next steps in my transition away from my present employment to spiritual work will be gratefully received. Okay. All right. I sound like what's the card here? I mean, what do I have some card? Oh, okay, we're going to do the dragon deck for you. Any guidance from spirit? Okay, so the first thing they're drawing me to is actually to look at your numerology, because your personal year and seeing what your personal year is will help you to feel a little bit clearer about the timing of things and what to be focusing on in your energy. It's cycles, maybe the theme for this particular broadcast, because there were cycles in that last reading. But what we're talking about here, so like right now, I'm in a 7-year, and it's all about, introspection, spiritual awakening. And whew, I tell you, it was January 1st, and I was like, there was channeling going on in my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're just kicking down the 7-year like gangbusters, huh? My 5-year, my career, like what you're talking about here, transitioning from the old muggle career, wasn't that muggly, but yeah, it was kind of muggly. It went away suddenly, and then my new, was 100% full. And that was my 5-year, which is all about change. So this will help you to feel focused and give you, because it feels right now like your stimulation, your sensitivity is just like, oh, I don't know, there's a lot of things I can do. And I'm not sure because you have so many talents and you learned so much. So that's going to help. And it looks like that's your card. So I'll hold that for a sec. So that's one way to do it. Okay. But then you want to know next step. That's okay. So your next step. So look at your personal year, because that's going to help you of the theme of next steps. Can you show me? Okay. So they show me first some books. And so what is this? Okay. Oh, no. Okay. I was going to ask it. This isn't more education. It's actually beginning to study with masters, meaning in your practice. So I don't know because I don't know what your name is. I feel like maybe you were in the channeling intensive, or you do know that you channel. And so to sit down, this will make you help you with steps, as well as with the last reading we said, pursue your highest excitement to your best ability at the time. Without any insistence on the details of the outcome. So they say you can even if you only do this 3 days per week, approximately, sit down at the beginning of the day and sit and meditate for a little bit, and then just channel what the steps are that day. Ask for a structure of 3 things, and whether it's that day or over a month or something like that, and ask for those steps. So, but it does feel like there's some foundation to continue to build so that things are automated, because right now it feels like there's so many pieces that haven't been done. So go sequentially with some of the foundational things. So if we're talking about doing one-on-one work, then we need things like to get some social media to put it out there, do things like this. And maybe you are doing that. And then we also need our scheduling system and a website, and those can be very simple. Excuse me. And then keep following through. But you have teaching abilities, and you have and the healing. So just continue to. It feels like time is getting away from you. You're exhausted all the time. So sit down and focus on, and if it's the weekend because you have a 9 to 5 or Monday through Friday, then, just do it on the days off. And then maybe other times, like one other day during the week when, you kind of, even if you take 5 minutes to do it. And it feels like really aligned with your cycles, your personal year, that things will show up in that way. So I would love to see if you could tell me what your personal year is, because I feel like you might be around like the 5, 6, 7. I'm just taking a stab. So the way you know what your personal year is, it's your birthday plus the current year. So my birthday is March 17, 3/17. So it's 8 plus 3 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus the current year. And this is 2021. So that's 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. That's my personal year. Okay, well, anyway, so your card is Deep Blue Dragon. Keeps you safe by clearing your pathway. Trust that you are protected. Walk on a path of light, which we just said path of light in the last reading. Walk on a path of light. So you have a path. This is what I see from this. And look at the purple and indigo and the blue dragon, indigo. So I want you to be channeling. They want you to be channeling those steps and connecting and having the trust and faith, and then moving and taking physical action on that, and continuing to be, and knowing that each footfall on the path of light is just as valuable, is just as important. And so you are in your spiritual, how did you call it? Spiritual work. Yes. All right. I hope that's helpful. I don't know how to dismiss the comments. Let's see, 303. Okay, good. All right, I have Facebook user would love a reading how to be an effective leader. I feel I overthink how my actions are perceived by others and anticipate people feeling intimidated or pressured or competitive. Okay, what's a deck I can pull from? Feels like we're going to go with the geometry activations. And so we got sacral stuff going on here. I know if you read that, you're thinking like, oh, that's a solar plexus. That's what someone might assume, and sure. But we've got sacral. We've got a lot of feels kind of generating. The sacral is the seat of the emotions, and when the sacral is overactive and doesn't have sort of, oh, okay, this card's jumping out, so that's for you, and doesn't have a partner to help it to organize all those feels, then we'll feel that way. We'll overthink and blah, blah, blah. So the sacral partners with the third eye. Third eye is visionary. Third eye can see the patterns. It's a pattern recognition. And so some work to align and balance, but go in there and talk to the sacral and just ask sacral, how can I support you? Because it feels like sacral really wants some soothing, some comfort, some nurturing. I feel like I want to bring up Mother Earth energy so that there is a grounding, a tethering. And I also want to draw down the light and connect sacral to third eye. So I'd say as you're feeling that, take a deep breath and draw up Mother Earth and bring all of that energy up to third eye and hold the energy here. Because the higher chakras, the higher energy centers can heal the lower ones. And here in our visionary center in the third eye, here's where the choices will manifest, but we have to trust them. We have to trust the ones that are lighting up for us. And it doesn't mean that they have to be visualized. It could be a knowing. It could still be emotional feeling, clairsentience. But what we want to do is let those steps show up and then have confidence that you are not alone in this, because spirit is working with you. And then we also want to affirm, and then we want to drop down into the heart, affirm that the reason that you are, feel into the heart after we do that practice, get into the heart, and affirmations like, how may I be a blessing? Whereas that's actually a question, but you're affirming it. It's a magnetizing kind of affirmation. How may I be a blessing? And meditating on how you are making these plans and you're being the leader in order to be a blessing. It is authority is about being the author. The authority or the leader is the least of these. I have a friend who, when I worked in bars and restaurants, and he said to me, had nothing to do with that industry, he's like, I always thought it'd be really cool to own a bar, because, you'd just be like, you'd be so like, everyone would think you were so cool. You just come in and have free drinks and everyone would just think you were amazing. And I was like, well, let me tell you something about being a bar owner. The bar owner is also the toilet scrubber. And you know what the bar owner doesn't do if they want to be prosperous? They don't come in and drink their own liquor and contribute to the red in their bottom line. They are the least of these. They are the leader of the company. The authority and the team is the one who is doing the most support. And so it feels like we want to own our leadership and realize that it's actually a service position. And then if we do the sacral up to the third eye and then drop down into the heart and really activate that you are putting forth the plans and all of the different leadership because it is in the highest interest for all of you. And then that natural compassion will just show up. So you'll be a compassionate leader. And that may be another affirmation for you. I am a compassionate leader. Ooh. So after we worked on all of those, I said, sure, it's the solar plexus, but it's really stated in the root. So then Spirit wants to cap it off with the solar plexus, because you will connecting the heart to the solar plexus. This is your compassionate leader. I'm pointing to solar plexus, compassionate leader. After we do the sacral up to the third eye, drop into the heart, compassionate leader. And so it says frequency of solar plexus, and that's the 3. So that's the expression number. And it's also the joy frequency, the number 3. The frequency of solar plexus, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution to the whole is. Can't make this up. By the way, I will say that these readings, we have the intention that whoever is picked, the messages, the energy will fall upon many of us. And so, as we are going through, have your heart and your mind open that whoever is picked is also being the example to channel some messages for you. Resonates so much. Okay, good. Here I got Julie Bassett. Pardon me while I take a sip. But I'm going to say hello first to Jennifer, because Jennifer says, first time listening to me. Okay, hang on, Jennifer. I got Julie up and then we'll move on. Okay, let's see. Julie, I would love any guidance on what I still need to heal to jumpstart my spiritual business so it becomes profitable, and possible timeline as to when that might happen. Okay, I'm feeling the activation cards again. All right. So, Julie, the first part is heal, and the second part is timeline about spiritual business. All right. What is Julie? Okay. Well, I keep asking, am I hearing this right? And they're saying we really want to give you pardon from worrying, or not that you're worrying, but you know what I mean. Like, you don't even have to focus on healing, because you are in a place where you have that crystallization of the aura. Now you may be saying like, well, the why isn't happening? And I get it, but they want to take you out of they want you to reframe. That's what it is. They want you to reframe where you are. Because if we're thinking, oh gosh, I have to heal something, when you're actually in a place like almost a plateau of being whole. And it's really about taking action. And then it's about out picturing that. So what else? Is there anything else? Okay. So they say that we want you to just move from your healedness, from your wholeness. We want you to flow from it. We want you to, if there's anything to heal, it's reframing the idea that you need to heal. And so it's a heart thing. That's why I'm getting the repeating there. And to really bless and love yourself. Cultivating affection for yourself, because I know you've really, I say I know because I can feel it now. I know how much you've worked on the self-love. And so you see, now we want to demonstrate it to the self. So affection to the self, and really being impressed by yourself the way that you would be with your best friend or your child or your partner, someone that you really, really love and you have great affection for, and you just want to encourage them. They want you to direct that to the self, and maybe have some self dates and some self romance, which every time I say that, I know people think that I must be talking about masturbation, which I'm not, but that's, hey, that could be a part of your self romance, but I'm really talking about more the general outlook, the way that the general demeanor and the way that we are loving and relating to the self. So that's where we are with the healing, is really moving forward with it and letting the frequency, the self-love frequency activate. And then there's let's see. So then about possible timeline. Okay. So there's something about like the second half of this year where there's more of a momentum and a greater pacing. And so that's what we need now. Right now, it's like fits and starts. It's like stop and starting. And so just continue to go as you are. And it just starts to become more mechanized, more automated. And then just continue to do all of the things. I think you do have the fundamentals set up, and and I know that you're like going live and stuff like that, so that you're doing service and people can get an idea of who you are. But there's also, I think maybe, thank you. So they say the second part of the year too, because it feels like after we kind of get past the hump and we can open up again, meaning the hump of the pandemic and quarantining, we're going to have all of the things where it's going to be safer to do that. That local and community feels like a nice way for you to also draw, because I met you in person at the Bliss Retreat, right? I forget everyone who's been there. But there's something about your personal energy too, that really is a safe haven for people. So there's networking and there's communing to do locally as well. But the online is also going to be synergized by some of that, but it's all of it, but the continuation of it will eventually, you'll get a pace and a steadiness. And then, no, did I just say synergy or what? Oh, shit, I did. I'm so sorry. I said good shit. I said that there will be synergy, right? Or did I just hear it in my head? Whatever. Okay. I don't know. We'll have to rewind. Okay. So synergy. There will be synergy. And this, again, after we get the pace and momentum going, then there will be synergy happening. And it feels like that timeline is the second half of the year. So like summertime going forward, approximately. So this is a beautiful activation too. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that the new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. This synergy also has to do with the first part, where, reframing the healing it's essentially synergizing it and then stoking it by letting a flow energy of the self-love, a more activated energy of the self-love. That's amazing. Jeremy Stangness, I see you. Anyway, I hope that was helpful, Julie. Okay, I'm going to scramble and see. I can see you. Patty says, can you see my name? I see you. Yeah, it's working. I think if you do it once, it should continue to work every time. Okay, I have this some details about white butterflies I always see around me. Is that a specific message from my guides? So yes, the white butterflies are activations, basically. And you already are, you're invited to lean into them. But it really, what it feels to me is it's activating mediumship. It feels like mediumship is available to you. And if you're already practicing mediumship, I feel like maybe you're not, but that is a resource for you, a tool. Feels like if you dig into mediumistic abilities, it will open up a lot more, but it's a focus for you right now is to be connected in mediumistically, but it's a general activation as well. Purity, clarity, Christ consciousness, transformation. And white butterflies are usually moths. And so a moth to a flame. And so all of these metaphors around what the spirit animal actually represents. So yeah, that's what I got for you. Let's see. What did Kate say? I thought that was Kate. Wait, no, here we go. It's Kate. Appreciate the learning about empaths. Yeah, empaths crystallizing the aura. Good. You're welcome. Here's something that looks interesting. What are the small blue flames? I see them a lot. Okay, well, you are what I'm picking. I'm going to pull a dragon card for you because it feels like it's also an activation, third eye activation. It has to do with, so the blue flame is the part of the flame that is not as exposed to oxygen, and that's why it's blue. When flame is exposed to oxygen, it turns the orange, yellow, and red colors. So right here, it's like the nexus. It's really potent energy. And that blue flame and blue ray is related to the third eye. So it is an opening of the third eye. They actually just said to me that you're creating it. They want to point out to you that you are a co-creator and that you are actually manifesting them. So the card is like just jumping out. But I pulled the dragon deck because working with dragons and but this would be like a 7th dimensional dragon that you can call in and work with, but there's an invitation to work with some higher frequency dragons. Oh, this is gold and silver violet flame dragon, by the way. They don't all say flame dragon. And gold and silver violet flame dragon transmutes the old around you with wisdom and grace. It's time for transformation, magic, and healing. Offer service under grace. How awesome is that? Awesome. Okay, let me have a little bit more time, a few more minutes. Pardon me while I move these headphones. I got a con here. Oh, he's coughing. You okay, babe? Yeah, he's okay. All right, let's see. Do a little scramble and see where I'm drawn here. Would love a reading around how to be in a... Oh, I already got that one. So that's so funny. Here's another one. Messages from my spirit guides that stand out. I'm hoping for some amazing additions in my life. Wow, amazing additions. Like babies or something? Or puppies or kitties? All right, let me just... So you specifically want to see if your guides... Okay, so they want to pull a card from my Atlantis deck. So do you work with crystals already? Because I see crystal energy around you. And those recording crystals, which is actually a card in this deck. So if we pull that, then we're going to be like, oh man. But anyway, recording crystals and the crystalline grid. And what are some other things? Channeling, automatic writing. Okay, so the specific things that you want to call in, it seems like you are more of a specific manifester, meaning you do well to like write or do vision boards or something like that and think of and feel of the details of what it is that you are manifesting. Is this the card? Okay. And then charge it up with the feelings and then crystallize the image, crystallize the hologram of the image of the manifestation and crystallize it and have it be like a symbol and maybe even dedicate a crystal to it. Like here's a solar plexus. this is Holoplex crystal, but pyrite or whatever it is, make a grid around it, a crystal grid around it, and then take that holographic image that you have generated in your imaginal plane and take it and put it right there in that crystal grid and just let it vibrate there. Let it vibrate there and celebrate it. And as you're doing that, you just have this hologram. You're releasing all of the details, and it's this or something better. What else is possible? And you are very powerful as a manifester this way. So this is this is a practice. This is a kind of a tool or a ritual, if you will, that they are asking you to do, because the additions that you want in your life, there's a lot. And then sometimes we get busy with the day, but we want to have the frequency of those. And it's like your guides and like Devas, meaning, like nature elementals, they're just standing there and they're like, yeah, just flip the switch, because we want you to have this stuff too, because it's an empowerment to who you are as a healer, a helper, a manifester. You know what I mean? Like, it's a help to bring those through into your life. The thread of the tapestry of your life that goes into the tapestry of the all is really, really wanted. But we want to turn the key. Like, you need to turn the key. So I hope that practice makes, unicorns. Well, I just said Devas, right? So your card is unicorns. Look at that. Oh, the unicorns. The number is 22. Really, that's the builder number. Master builder. In Golden Age of Atlantis, unicorns helped maintain purity and divine innocence. Seventh dimensional, pure white ascended horses radiated light that looked like a spiraling horn from their third eye. They could direct a beam of pure energy into people. So this is kind of like that practice we were just describing. They are returning now to help our planet to ascend as they touch us with dignity, love, beauty, grace, and healing, and reconnect us with our soul essence. Purity. If you draw this card, the unicorns wish to connect with you. Find time to be quiet, preferably out in nature. Think about them and allow them to touch you with the qualities of dignity, love, beauty, and grace. Dignity, love, beauty, and grace. That's for all of us. They may offer you healing or reconnect you to your soul essence. Remain open to a message from them today. And finally, it says, be prepared for unicorn energy to touch you. I'm ready. Are y'all ready? I'm ready for unicorn. Ooh, I got chills. The guy that I have sitting on my lap, Con, my kitty, that I keep referencing, he's like a unicorn. He's very unicorny. All right, scramble. I think I have time for one more. Here we go. Facebook user. Sorry, I don't see your name. And once again, the reason I don't see your name is if you qualify, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, then it will give permission for StreamYard to show me your name. My gifts have been expanding like crazy. Awesome. And I'm thinking of developing my own healing show separate from the music. Oh, it must be Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Separate from the musical. It would be a group reading plus a musical healing with some education on ascension and timelines and the dead. Any advice? Do it. Okay. So the advice actually that came through is, do it. But the advice is, because you're a 5, Michelle. I know you're a life path 5 like me. And it's really to just move forward and do it. So set the date, create Canva, little graphics, promote it, do some stories on Instagram, talk about it, and then do it and have a loose structure and show up and be very improvisational, AKA channeling, but have a loose structure where it's like, you already do have a loose structure there. You're like, there's going to be reading, musical healing, education, ascension, you know what I mean? Have that and just be, how I do my Mystic Arts Academy classes, right? I have so a little bit like that. I mean, I always tell you guys that I'm even held from the structure because it's experimental. And so this being more experimental, very much in channeling energy, and you already have a structure right there. But set the date and move forward and go for it. And you can do it on Zoom. And you can then take parts of it. Actually, they're saying, I think you do have a YouTube channel, right? But you can take parts of it where maybe it's just your video, whatever you're doing, and then you can cut it and you can put it on YouTube later. And then if you want to get some permission from some people, that you can actually use some of their own likeness, but we want to get their permission. But I don't usually do that very much because it's a lot of work to get other people's permission to use their likeness. But anyway, yeah, that sounds really and super fun. And it's something whereas the musical is a much longer term project. This is something that you can boom, boom, boom. You can just do it. And it brings in a lot of healing and a lot of help and a lot of alignment for others. And it's a stoking of energy. And also because you're Life Path 5, keeping it more channeling, it will be fun for you every time. It will be just change. It'll keep changing. It'll be different. And that's what, Life Path 5s love. Okay, let's see. I think I do have time for another one. Let me just scrambles. Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't even know I had that turned on. Andronica Face Off. Who knew? Gave me a little thank you so much. Gave me a donation. That's fine. I seriously didn't even realize I had that feature turned on Facebook. That's so sweet, though. I appreciate it. Here's Kate says, I met a dragon in meditation. Can you tell me more about him? Well, first of all, he says it's for you to talk to him. And I'm getting my own dragon telling me, my earth dragon. So my earth dragon is talking to me about this. He says it's the discovery for you to have. Is he like you? Okay, so he shows up in the same, I think, a similar part of your field as mine shows up. This dragon of mine, which is kind of like forward and to the right. He is this dragon, my earth dragon, my dragon that I'm talking about is Earth. He's the element of Earth, and that relates to my moon sign. And so that might be, this is some areas to explore. Ask him what his element is. And our dragons can be composed of 1, 2, or 3 of the elements, not all 4. That's the thing about the Devas and the nature spirits and fairies and everything. They're not composed of all 4 physical elements, but they're composed of 1, 2, or 3 of them. And so they may be like this guy, he's all earth. And, but I have one of my other dragons, and she's water with some air, but dominant in the water energy. So ask him his name. You guys will choose a name together, and he may be related to either your moon sign, or he may be related to your sun or your ascendant, like one of those top 3 positions. But don't make any assumptions. Just be open, clear your mind, ask him what his element is. It feels like he is one of your elemental dragons. Of course, we have dragons who are higher frequency, and they could be Pleiadian, or they could be source dragons, or, you know what I mean? Like they can be in much more ascended densities. But this guy feels like he's one of your primary ones who is elemental. And so what else does he? So he's been with you. So yeah, he's one of your primary ones because he's been with you your whole life. He actually he stands in as the front face of a fleet, of his fleet even. But he is the interface that you work with and for guidance. And also, but he says for conversation and for, what's the word? I'm talking to my guy now. Comfort. That's the word we're looking for. So even though he feels very powerful and strong, but to him, he shows you all of this tenderness and nurturing, and he's very intelligent too. He's going to talk to you and communicate with you in intelligence. Now, it will feel very possibly like your own thought, your own stream of consciousness, because it's not meant to detract from you. It's meant to augment and make you more you. And that was Kate. Okay, well, that is about my time, you guys. I'll just... every reading has resonated. That's good, Nicole. There you go. That's you. Oh, wait. Someone says something about quantum healing hypnosis. Yeah, there. Let me put that up here. Quantum healing hypnosis. There are practitioners everywhere. Google the website and find a practitioner close to you. Some online sessions if you are still working on your own abilities. This is so there's someone that I recommend. I'm sure he does online. I saw him in person. He's based in LA. His name is Jeroen DeWitt. And he's been on my show twice. So you can, and then his name is spelled Jeroen, and the last name is 2 words, Dewit. So you can find him on my YouTube channel. I could go grab the links, but it'd be a little bit hard for me to do that right now. Then you can also find him on Instagram, and his Instagram handle, I remember it. It is Jeroen is Love. So Jeroen is Love. Go check him out. He's so amazing. So there's a QHHT practitioner that I would recommend. Okay, then, you guys, thank you so much. I had so much fun. Look for me doing this probably weekly, maybe every other week. I'm not sure, but we will do the Tuesday at 2:30 Pacific. I had so much fun with you guys, and I love you. I love you, whoever you are. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye, guys. Well, hello, replay watchers. Welcome to the special episode of, well, Magic Hour, because that's what I do when I'm live streaming into the Lightshine Lab and also on my YouTube channel. And so I wanted to say hello to the replay watchers as we're waiting for some folks to join us. And there are a few. So hello, you guys. Now, I want to point out that if you are joining us on Facebook, you can be sure to check up in the post there and let your friends know who are asking in the comments. If they go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, then you can get your name linked up so that I can see you in the comments. We are going to talk about seasonal fairies, and we are going to do some readings. So as we are waiting for a few more people to join us, I am just going to play a beautiful little video for you, and then we will be on our way. Thanks for joining me, guys.
And that there's more to life than what you can see.
Maybe you've had vivid spiritual dreams, experienced odd patterns and synchronicities, or even had hunches or premonitions that ended up being accurate.
You know there's more to this life, but at the same time, you feel blocked or stuck and like you don't even know where to start.
That's all about to change. Lightshine Spiritual Academy presents the Intuitive Intensive, a groundbreaking 8-week program designed to blast open your intuitive abilities and catapult you into a dynamic, connected, and psychic life.
Here's what graduates of the Intuitive Intensive have to say.
This program has been game-changing, life-changing.
There's no going back. I can't unsee all the things that I've seen. I can't unfeel all the things that I've felt. It's been life-changing, not just because of everything that I've learned, but everything that I've experienced.
Join spiritual teachers Anne Compton and Tricia Carr in this immersive program of education, high vibration, and group coaching.
I have found my purpose and my calling. I really came in to find myself, and that was one of the biggest gifts, is finding my true path.
Read all about the curriculum and register now by going to class.lightshineacademy.com/2022II. Class begins the week of January 23rd, 2022.
If you feel called to it, if it gets you excited in your heart, if it feels joyful, do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Well, I hope that did tickle some of your heart bones, and I hope you will do it. Am I being heard? You guys can hear me, right? Let me know if you can't hear me. Oh, and also you can probably hear my birds. So I am in my home. This is my little home setup. I actually set this home little studio up when the pandemic hit. And so it's not the best sound quality, but maybe you guys don't even know or care. And my birds are here, and they just got their dinner, so I'm going to let them chirp it up a little bit. So I hope it's okay, not too distracting. But hello, everyone. Yes, and you can hear my birdies. All right. Well, it's really great to be here with you today. I'm excited. I brought through some information from, hi guys, I brought through some information from the Fae and Devic realms, and it's going to be really fun. And I encourage you to actually take notes. You might want to take notes, and because there's just a few points, like the names of certain fairies and devas that have stepped forward, and unicorns as well who are stepping forward. If you just want to jot those down, they would be for you to just maybe in your journal to reflect upon, to contemplate, to call forward if one of these or all of these happen to really, tug at your heart. In the intuitive intensive, which is about when it's a little more than a month away that we start, I do cover, there's a lesson in that, and we have an on-demand, of the fairy realm, the Devic realms, and we have an on-demand class with it too. So you can check that out on our website. I love unicorns and fairies too. Hi, Liz. Oh, good. Well, I hope you do catch the replay. All right. So let's talk about these realms of nature, of creation, crystallization, and of spirit. And I have to bring up my notes because I did channel it. And when I channel something to notes, it doesn't really stick to my brain. I learn along with you. So let's do an overview of what this realm or these realms is really. There are inner planes or inner octaves of all of the particular realms and densities and dimensions. You can hear my birdies. So the realm, and then fairies seem to get us really excited, get us really tickled. And I actually recently, they asked me if I would call myself a fae whisperer. And I'm like, okay, that sounds fun. Because they're just so fun and silly. And so that is one of the I guess titles, or it's really invitations that I'm currently making, is Fae Whisperer. So the fairy realm is it includes the many inner working realms, kind of like the worker bees, but not in the way that we have that here on our planet. We think of the worker bee or the working, kind of people as we have this we have this prejudice against it, like they're not as important or something like that, when in fact there is great passion to all of the roles that we all play. And the Fae are quite proud and of their roles as the ones who are facilitating the manifestation. And then, so that's the fairy realm, and it does include, there are many terms that we kind of include in there. And in fact, they're encouraging us to create new ones, to pen new ones, because we are really in newer and newer ages, if you will. I kind of hate the term new age because it's always been used in my lifetime pejoratively. And however, we are ever embarking upon new and more enlightened ages. That's just the nature of evolution, right? And we are closely approaching the return of I would say new Lemuria, but the return of Lemurians and the coalescence of our consciousness with this golden era. But I was going to say I digress, but I don't really. It's actually a part of this whole conversation with the realms of nature. And it's not just nature. It's really these frequencies of crystallization. So when we're talking devas, we are talking about the sort of the meridians of creation between the creation process, the immaterial or the non-material to the material. And that's what we're talking about in the realms between the non-physical and the physical. But we're also talking about the meridians or the pathways from the higher galactic and higher cosmic and universal perspectives of non-material or spirit to these other descending tiers into materialization, if you can visualize that. Devas are as prolific as anything you can imagine. There is a deva for the tree in front of my house. There are devas who oversee each of the elemental categories: earth, fire, nature, earth, fire, water, and air. There are devas that oversee things like certain species of animals or a certain flock or a clan of animals. So there's a deva for that. It's kind of like there's an app for that. There's a deva for that. And then there are also devas who are overarching, overlighting, let's say, the waters of the earth, as well as the waters of Sirius, in that pipeline of the crystallization or the materialization process. So that's what we're talking about when we are talking about the Fae and the Devic realm. So let's get into the types of energies of Devas and Fae realm who step forward for us at this time of our year, 2021. I almost said 22. I'm like already in the next year. 2021, we are in December. We are very close to Yule, aka Christmas, also the solstice, and other, holidays. There are so many different holidays that happen around this time. It is a powerful season, and it's what's kind of interesting is that whether you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere, because we're on opposite seasons, and yet we still have the same contemplative holidays. I mean, like they are shared across. There are people celebrating Kwanzaa here in the northern hemisphere where I am, and in the southern hemisphere, Yule in both places, even though Yule was born of the witches and the pagans, mostly of the European area of older days. But anyway, because they are universalized, because we are a collective consciousness. And I mean both of those words, collected and collective consciousness. So while I am having a powerful, strong transition into a darker, a shorter expression of light, and my brothers and sisters in the southern hemisphere are experiencing a transition into a longer expression of light. This is what the different seasons are doing. Yet we come together on the pure frequency of transition and of becoming and of manifesting and creating. Now, I am probably going to mostly speak of who stepped forward from the orientation of the northern hemisphere, and that's simply because I live here. But I will leave some space open if anybody wants to ask a question to see how we can reframe that and flip that to the southern hemisphere. But I think you could probably, with your contemplative mindset, with the open meditative mindset, feel your way into the universal energy that lay beneath these seasonal energies. So let's dig right into it, shall we? All right. In the area of the earth element, we have stepping forward gnomes of abundance. And this is how they identify themselves for us at this time through me, the channel, gnomes of abundance, and their wood elves. And so, as I said, the Devas, or the Devic realm, they are the overlighting energies, like the managers, the overseers. And then we have the realms and tiers of the Fae. And the Fae may include different words like elves, pixie, sprite, and so forth. And again, they've invited us to create new words, and I'm going to hold myself open to that. We'll see what happens. So in the area of the earth element, we have gnomes of abundance and their wood elves. And some of the key energies that these fairies and these devas are bringing forward for us is the energy of helping us with tasks, helping us to take action. You see that even though if we're in the cooler climate time where the light is getting shorter and shorter, that we seem to have equipped ourselves with a lot to do. Now, this is true of what we have manifested in this kind of lifestyle that we live, where we're having to shop and having to plan for parties and having to go to parties and send out cards and all the things that we do in our holiday time culture. But they also hearken us back to something that was more of an agrarian time. And there was a lot to do inside the home. There was a lot to do in the hearth, because as everyone needed to take shelter because there was less light and there were less tasks to do outside, there were more tasks to do inside, to be together to make sure that everyone is properly serviced, to continue to put things up for the winter and to take them down for the sustenance at the time. So they say that even though this may seem like a modern adaptation of what we're doing now, that in fact it's always been this way, and that the earth energies are the ones who are minding us about these tasks. You see, gnomes and the earth element tend to have a reputation of being slower, more of a considering kind of energy, teachers, wise energies that sit like this. Or if you think about like in astrology, and the earth signs are always thought of as being slow or heavy or even stubborn, which those are just negative shadow words that aren't necessarily helpful. But in fact, all of the elements have the full spectrum of qualities of action to inaction, of quietude to something that would be very extremely active, including the earth element. And so as these gnomes of abundance and their wood elves step forward, they are the more lively types. They are helping us with action that is to be taken. And that includes action to be taken now for hearth, home, and survival, celebration and connecting, as well as looking forward as we take the calendar over to a new year and an eventual new season. And they're very lively and very action oriented. Now, gnomes and the earth elemental devas and they do also, there is a sort of a classification. People think about them as, jovial, and they're very jovial. Gnomes in particular are jovial, even if they are the wiser teaching time kind that may be slower and watching the root of a tree grow. They are very lively. They embody a lot of energy, a lot of life energy, because in fact, in order to be the earth element, there is a massive crystallization process that has already taken its path. So in order to become a stone, one is that stone, or one, we are the embodiment of a lot of creation energy in order to be that. So as they're telling me right now, as we humans sometimes feel so dense and so heavy and so, like weighed down by being physical, by being human, and we touch our soul energy to, Archangel Michael, and we think, oh, to be light and free and expansive and not be weighed down with this physical form and life. And they say, but in fact, you have so much of the lightness and freedom in order to have created your physical body. You have been the absolute epitome of the lightness, the freeness, and the expansiveness. And so this is what the earth element is here to teach us. This is what the gnomes of abundance and their wood elves are supporting us in. And so that is to say that as they are lively and they're helping us with tasks, taking action today and taking action for how we step forward into a future, they are also helping us with our energy resources, our reservoirs. We may feel extremely tired, and it might be appropriate because we didn't get enough sleep and we've been working too much and doing too much. But they say that even if you feel very, very tired, they may encourage you to move forward, to step it up. And they will give you like sort of this extra little reserve tank. I drive a Prius, and it's gas and electric, but it's a hybrid and electric. So I kind of remember how I hardly ever fill up with gas. But there's always there's like your gas tank. And then there's a secret little reserve. So you're like, oh, I'm at empty. But when it takes over to empty, I know I have 3 gallons left. There's that reserve. I try not to hang out in that reserve all the time. I try to keep the tank, abundantly full, but there is that reserve. And so they are helping us to tap that resource of the extra energy, meaning physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, and mental energy. And so they say, have faith and in yourself, and have faith in the process of what we are co-creating. Now, they also pointed out to me that this is really cool, because you guys, I swear I just want to say I didn't think about this and then fill in the blanks. I channeled it, and then they said, oh, by the way, look at this. They said, this is why we have this myth of Santa's elves. That Santa's elves are actually the presentation of these wood elves, and I'll tell you why they're called wood elves in a moment, that the gnomes of abundance and their wood elves, who are these, actionable, working, creating and facilitating kinds of energies. They say that's why we created this myth of Santa's elves, who are the ones who were gleefully and joyfully creating for the innocent children of the world, for the beautiful children of the world. And so they encourage us in that mythological energy that it's actually something that is very natural to us, and they are here to support us in that right now. And the reason that they are called wood elves is because first of all, it was revealed to me that a guide that I work with, one of my elemental guides, his name is Franklin, and he is a wood elf himself, and he is of this tier of actionable energies who are in the Fae realm. And so my guide Franklin, the wood elf, he's very feisty, and he's very to the point. He's the one, if you've ever heard me tell the story, I'm going to repeat it, but some of you may not have heard it. He is the one who, when I was sort of out in my backyard, and it was around this time of year. Yeah. Oh, it was this time of year because my husband and I we were just about to go to visit his family for Christmas, for the holiday in another state. And I was like, I don't know, feeling some kind of anxiety, something like that. So I was out in my backyard praying and meditating before we actually literally had to get in the car. And I was asking about manifestation. I was asking about creating prosperity and how do I do this? And I very clearly heard this guide who identified himself as Franklin, a wood elf. And I asked him if he worked with my gnome guide, whose name, or the name that we have between us, is Henry. And he's like, I work with Henry. He's like, I say, very direct, and even almost like I hear curse words because I use curse words. And so he's like, yeah, they're emphatic and you use them and I'm pulling them out of your head. So there you go. And he says like the F word and stuff. And so he shows up, very clairaudient for me. And I'm asking about how to manifest. And he said to me, how can you ask for more when there are limes on the ground? And I have in my backyard a key lime tree. And this key lime tree, citrus is actually a fall and winter fruit, particularly like really winter, because that's how long it takes for it to become its most full, robust quality, but especially in a climate that I live in, which is a hotter and more deserty climate. I'm in Los Angeles. And so at this time of year, with the wind and with the whole pressure of the seasonal transitions from the heat to the cooler climates, and then the drying up causes the citrus to be its most fruitful and to fall to the ground, ready to be harvested. And so he said this to me, and this had a dual meaning. It was equally literal and metaphorical, because as one who oversees nature, he was literally saying, don't let those limes go to waste. There's only so much that the animals and the soil can consume here. And this is fruiting this way because it's among so many human beings. It's being provoked to fruit. This tree is being provoked to fruit this much because of all the human energy around it. And I live in a suburb, there's houses all around, humans all around. It's a very dense population. And so he said, how dare you ask for more when there are limes on the ground? You need to pick them up. You need to harvest them. You need to let them be utilized. Now, that was the literal meaning. And there was, at the same time, equally as pertinent, the energy that I felt of, I have resources I have untapped. I have built stores and stores of resources. And I'm sitting here with my cabinetry and now this is metaphorical again. My cabinetry full of fruit that I have put up, vegetables, of dried and cured meats, if we're thinking about an agrarian society. And I'm saying, when are the crops going to come? And they say the crops have come and they're waiting for you. And they're waiting for you to consume and also share with your family and neighbors. And so it made me refocus to my greedy reaching out. When is it going to show up, to say, hey, I have a lot already. And I've already built structure. I've already built resources that are here for me to just dip into. Not even like, it's just here for me. And so, yes, in a way it's saying have gratitude, but it's also saying take action upon the resources that I have right now. Now, Franklin, as I said, he's a wood elf. He literally tends to that tree, and he tends to all of the citrus trees that are in a certain radius of my area. And he's also an overlighting, sort of middle management kind of deva, but more still in the Fae realm, overseeing human consciousness along the lines of what that means as it concerns the growth of trees and fruiting trees especially. And so it helped me to refocus. Now back to the real life situation, then I'm finishing up my prayer and meditation, and I was so stricken and inspired by Franklin saying, how could you ask for more when you have limes on the ground? And my husband comes out and says, are you ready to go? And I had picked up a bag, and I was starting to pick up all of these limes. And my husband's like, honey, are you ready to go? And I'm like, yes, but I have to pick up these limes first. I have to pick them up because Franklin, my wood elf, told me to pick them up. And he's like, okay, honey, I'll help. Kind of like, is this the time we check her in, or are we still in the range of it's channeling inspiration? However, I explained it to him more fully as we got in the car to drive to his parents' house, and we still use that. It was probably 5 years ago. To this day, we still use this. There are limes on the ground. There are limes on the ground. So you see, when the plane of creation, when the action of co-creation, meaning you have interacted with the field, has produced, meaning your family and friends, meaning the stores that are available for you to both put away and to take out so that you can share them. When that has happened, that we're not meant to really keep receiving until we start to tap into the abundance that we already have. And what I did with those limes specifically, because I couldn't possibly consume them all, was I put them out in front of my house with a sign that said free. And there's a few, houses on the block that do that. And sure enough, my neighbor, when I returned, she was like, oh, wow, these limes are so delicious. I drink lime and lemon water all day long. And I'm like, you can knock your, she's like, I'll use all of these. I'm like, perfect. Let's do that. And so that's where we are. So there we go. And those are your gnomes of abundance and their wood elves. And let's talk about the unicorns that are working with these energies here. We have unicorns who exhibit the way that they're presenting themselves. And this is for, again, you to just take into your meditative space or your contemplative space. They're presenting themselves in fractals of certain holy rays, or the fractals of light. The rays are like the pieces of the one light. And so the unicorns who step forward in alignment with the earth element and in alignment with the gnomes of abundance and wood elves they exhibit as a very pale orange, peach, and salmon. So even if you want to take a breath, close your eyes and call to your awareness, visualize or imagine unicorns that fall in this color spectrum, this spectrum of the rays, and it's pale orange, so it's like an orange that is blended with white. And just what is that orange that you might be seeing? Is it a tangerine? Is it a carnelian mixed with white? And so the unicorn stepping forward, they are upholding this beautiful, enlightened emotional capacity. And also the sacral is what is an energy source. It is a resource. It is a motor center. And so they are fueling that which would be the root, as the ones who are salmon colored, and sacral, which the ones who are pale orange and peach colored. And the peach color brings in some of the solar plexus energy too. And then the white that is infused to it is that source energy, the extra resource. You're able to resource additional energy, the reserve of energy. These are the unicorns who step forward, and unicorns are etheric beings who are ultra elementals, ascended animals, as they have once commingled with humanoids upon this planet and shall again in an even density spectrum, meaning that we will be overlapping in our densities. And for now, they exist on a spectrum of light and spirit that we are also a part of, yet it's not this material frequency. They cannot tolerate or they cannot exist in this dense frequency, but they are available to us in fullness and in everything except for the kind of flesh material that we are. But the light material that we are, they orient to us in that regard. And so those are our unicorns and our earth elements. I'm going to move through these and then I'm going to look at your questions and comments and then see if we have some readings that we can all partake in, meaning like as someone asks for a reading, it will be selected by spirit between us all that will benefit us all. Okay, so there we go. That's our earth element. And next, stepping forward from the air element, we have blustery sylphs and their shadow fairies. Blustery sylphs and their shadow fairies. So the word blustery, this is referring to like a blustery wind, a wind that is swift and even maybe a bit embittered. It is sharp. It dries quickly. It creates an evaporation, and it causes us to release. You see, well, I'll tell you what the shadow fae are in a moment, but what this blustery sylph energy is, and sylphs are the overarching devas for the element of air. They are helping us to dry up intensified emotions, and they help us by this process to intensify the emotions that want to be dried up. So as something is evaporating, it becomes more concentrated. As a liquid is evaporating, it becomes more concentrated in its particle elements. So let's say if it is, what's something that would make sense? Oh, I don't know. Something that's like a sweet beverage. Kool-Aid came to mind or something like that, If you left it out and it continued to evaporate, it would become darker and more concentrated, and it would become even sweeter, and it would even start to get like a film on top of it because it would start to crystallize and dry up. And so that's what these blustery sylphs are helping us to do. Water is the element. So this is a cooperative work with the element of water. Water is the flow of emotions and creativity. And so the blustery sylphs are sending us a strong spiritual wind to help us to allow that process of emotions that are intensified and need intensifying to be in our awareness so that we can pay attention to them. And then to actually cause us to go into self-care. Because if we are drying up, if we are dehydrating, if we're having intensified emotions, then we are directed to then turn to the element of water, turn to the element of emotion to bring in fresh water. I'm just realizing this right now. It's similar to how the gnomes of abundance are saying, we're going to help you to tap into fresh energy, that the reserve, the resource. And this is what the blustery sylphs are asking us to do, as they help us to dry up and get a little dehydrated, to reach for the self-care that we need, fresh emotion, pure emotion. But this is not done as a bypass to dump out the drying up of emotions, the intense emotions. In fact, it is done by moving through it and then reaching at the same time in tandem for that fresh energy. It causes that fresh flow of emotional energy, fresh energy from source. Now, the shadow fairies, this is something I actually do teach it in the Work with Your Elemental Guides workshop. We have that on demand, and I'll see if I can grab that link. I'm in a flow right now, though. If anybody else has it, if anybody's here who knows how to find it, great. But anyway, the shadow fairy are a particular kind of fae that revealed themselves to me the very first time that I ever taught Work with Your Nature Elementals. Shadow fae are are fairies who exist in the second density and even sort of on the lower, octave of second density. And what they do is they actually, when we are moving through a powerful part of our shadow, where we may be processing trauma, grief, or hurt of some kind, a shadow fairy can partner with you to actually become the energy. It's a very codependent thing, but it's a natural process. It's like a martyrdom process. They will work with you to help you to feel what it is that is necessary and helpful for you to feel in order to process this bit of your shadow, in order to open it up and get fresh air and fresh water into it. And a shadow fairy will work with you, become the emotion, become the shadow, and then take it away for you and move it into the space of the inner planes for compostation. Now, this is in a sense like a death, but what they tell me is that it's more like the death of the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Because you see, when the caterpillar is in its chrysalis, or his or her chrysalis, and then they must, in order to become a butterfly, they actually disintegrate every single molecule. They become a goo. They become this is not a creature kind of substance, but they disintegrate absolutely every part of their physical being. And then from that, they become the butterfly. If you've ever seen a caterpillar and you've seen a butterfly, these things look like really different creatures. And so this is what the shadow fairies process is. It is the caterpillar taking itself and identifying with the shadow of a human. And they say this is a process in other beings. It works the same, but it's it's unique to the particular being, species, energy, whatever you might call it. And they identify to it, and then they take it away. But they can only do it with our full cooperation, with our full commitment to the process of understanding the shadow and releasing it. And so they take it into the light, or they really take it into the inner planes of Gaia and allow it to be composted and then changed back. And their being actually is the vehicle for it. And this is a process that Fae will go through in order to move to a next expression of their being, like the caterpillar to the butterfly. So these are the shadow Fae. So how can you call them forward? Well, if you are feeling there is a shadow aspect to work with, sometimes they like to work with you when there are tears uncried. They would like to help you to know that if you are working with releasing trauma, that crying, and of course, extreme laughter can help to shake it out of the body. And this is what shadow Fae can do. They can help us to pull it out of the body. So as these blustery sylphs are drying it up, bringing it to our awareness, intensifying the emotions, then we sit down and we deal with it. And if you do something like crying or sobbing so that you can draw in that fresh emotional energy, they say do it with in mind that you are having compassion for how you have been victimized, but they would like us to not indulge ourselves and continue to identify with victimhood. So they say stay with the energy of being a victim in the sense of fully expressing it, but you're really you want to be working from your full being, from your higher mind observing your inner being. And so you know that you're moving through this, and we don't want to move too quickly so that we bypass, and we also don't want to indulge. And we know if we're indulging, if we are starting to blame and shame, whether ourselves or another. Now, if we're in that for a moment, we just keep going. We don't stay there. We don't stop there. If we feel blame or shame, we just go, okay, come on, this is helping me. This is helping me to move forward past blame and shame. And so that's how we'll know if we're indulging or if we are expressing and releasing. We're indulging if we choose to stay with victimhood, and that usually feels like blame or shame. And then, but if we can move through those, then we are moving toward the release. And the shadow fairies, this is such an intense process because our trauma is stored in our physical bodies. And so when we have a physical release of it with sobbing or maybe laughing, maybe the the tearful laughing and crying, then it will help to jostle it out of our bodies as well as our spiritual bodies, our physical bodies as well as our spiritual bodies. And so another, there can be ecstatic dance, and I, run. And when I met my shadow fairy, I was on an intense hike, and then I started sobbing. So, using the physical body really helps this process. Okay, so the unicorns who are working with the element of air, with the blustery sylphs and their shadow fairies, these unicorns present as white, kind of, I mean, it's a very illumined white. Unicorns are light beings, white, but with a golden mane, and I'm seeing a golden mane from a rich gold to a pale white gold. So, I mean, maybe your unicorn may be having all of those with blended colorings, or maybe it's one or the other, but that's who is stepping forward at this time. I'm seeing many different ones. And interestingly, these unicorns wanted to show me that their eyes are a white gray color. So they're really looking at, into our souls with their eyes. So that's the potent unicorn energy that steps forward with the sylphs. Okay. Oh, I missed that's interesting. I accidentally skipped over, and the way that my notes are written, I skipped over the undines, but I guess I didn't skip over it. So the undines, these are the devas of the water element, and the undines and the water energies who step forward, they are calling themselves undines of crystallization, and they're ice fairies. They're ice fae. Undines of crystallization. So in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in a transition process, and where the water is turning to ice, and there is a chill in the air and on the ground and in the bodies of water, and the water is actually turning to it's coming to the brink of earth element, but in fact it's still water element, but it gets as close as it can to earth element. And so the crystallization process is the process of materialization, of something manifesting into reality. And so these are the undines who step forward of crystallization. So yes, we can think about ice and the process of going from liquid to ice, and the bringing the temperature lower and bringing the temperature to a point where it creates more density. And then think about it metaphorically too, because these are cosmic devas, galactic devas, who are overseeing those meridians of all of those tiers of spirit becoming physical. And these are fifth dimensional. These particularly are fifth dimensional, and also working in these deeper inner realms in order to trigger that crystallization. You see, our physical bodies are just crystallized spirit, crystallized light. We are a very profound crystallization or manifestation of light. And so that's what these undines are helping us to orient to, again, from a fifth dimensional, but also more like Russian nesting dolls, also into the 3D and into the inner planes. And they are teaching us about patient and refined creation. You see, when something is freezing and crystallizing, when water freezes, the longer it takes for that temperature to tick down, the cleaner the ice will be. Did you know that? Have you ever noticed I have one of these freezers where the ice comes out like really, really white, totally opaque. You can't see through it. And I don't use it at all because it's terrible. Even though it's filtered water, that's terrible ice. I was a mixologist before. So it's like, if there's inclusions in the ice, if it's like frosty, I mean, there's a little bit of frostiness, it's okay. But what that literally is impurity. So the reason that ice that comes out of my freezer, they're I don't know, they're like that shape, and they come out like this crusty, white color, is because they freeze that ice so fast that there isn't time for the impurities to escape. There isn't time for the ice to become refined. or the water element to become refined. It's basically a reverse distillation process. And so these undines of crystallization are teaching us patience. Patience leads to refinement, leads to a pure, more potent, more aligned creation. And they're ice fairies. These are just really the worker fairies who are helping us to, well, they're saying they actually help us to lift our spirits to become more patient. Because you see, when we are impatient, it's because we have an attitude of basically non-presence. And so they're saying that these ice fairies help us to, they're ice fairies, what they're calling it, but they're all of these tiers of that crystallization process. So even though technically she's an ice fairy, she may be more watery because she's in, let's say she's in 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and then another one is at 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and another one is at 17 degrees Fahrenheit, metaphorically speaking. And they are working with us in the whole process. And they really help us with our attitude. They help us to lighten up. They help us to be patient. They help us to divert our attention from the bullshit that we are paying attention to, and allow us to just become present and also hopeful for the forthcoming, crystallization process. That's really awesome. And thank you. I'm like saying thank you to them because I'm like, I need that right now. Okay, the unicorns who step forward with the undines, with the element of water. These unicorns are ice blue. Oof, so beautiful. Can't you just see them? If you watch, I just watched March of Penguins. Oh my gosh, I said it with my Texas accent. March of Penguins. Words that I don't say very often. Sometimes it slips back into my Texas accent. And I do not use the word penguin very frequently in my California life. Anyway, March of Penguins. And, it's in Antarctica, and, the ice it's white, but it's this beautiful blue as well, like in the depths of it. So that's what these unicorns are. Again, this is a white that is blended with source light blue. Excuse me. It is blue that is blended with source light white. And the blue then is of the throat chakra. It is of the third eye. And so it could have any of these qualities. And, this is indicating us to be, patient and to have a pure vision. And then also to sometimes be silent and be, calm and in our energy about our expression. And yet also planning and refining. And they're also stepping forward as a pearlescent white. Oh, so beautiful. So the pearlescence is like the moon in her brilliant emotional stage, maybe not quite the full moon, maybe a little shyer of full moon, but because sometimes full moon can look very golden. Well, it depends. But anyway, you'll feel your way into it. But really, it is the ripening of emotions. And then also, so we've got 3 different colors. They showed me ice blue, pearlescent white, and they showed me violet blended with white. And so the violet blended with that white, really kind of like the pearlescent white, is like the crown chakra and the pulling in of the energies for the creation and the crystallization process. I'm looking at your comments now. Frozen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, finally, we have our 4th element. And these are the salamanders. The Devas who oversee the fire element are salamanders, and they step forward with the words, the name, the title, the categorization that they are salamanders of prayer, peace, and release. Salamanders of prayer, peace, and release. They didn't really give me a specific name for the Fae that would be working with them. But right now, they're telling me that probably many of you would orient to pixies. And they say that these are sort of like sparks of the flames of the fires. And that's what these pixie illuminations. But essentially, the Fae that work with the salamanders of prayer, peace, and release are, they're multi-layered, and they're just working in this process with us. So salamanders of prayer, peace, and release, they are helping us to contain the warmth of the creative energy for hearth, helping it to both service us and to help us to rebuild. So they're showing me they're showing me two things. They're showing me like the fire in the home that is keeping us, alive because we need the heat because it's too cold outside. It's also what we use to cook and to purify the food, make sure that when we cook something, it's because we want to make it edible. But they are comparing that to the solar plexus energy. And they are asking us to have an awareness of the solar plexus and your personal sun, and have it in your awareness as a contained energy. Not because you aren't sharing it, but essentially that it helps us to make sure that it is really robust and potent and useful. And you can welcome people into your energy the way that you would welcome someone into your home to sit by your fire and to partake of your food. But we want to do it with this place of letting the fire build itself. And then you may take inspiration from the way that those fire pixies are releasing. When a flame sparks like that, there is the air that has come into contact with it with a particle or some wood or something, and then there is an explosion. It's like a mini explosion, and that helps us to release. And so the gentle releasing from this powerful warmth of identity and of creative power that's contained. This is also a way for us to authentically connect, because once again, we are going to build up our own will, power, identity, warmth, hearth, and then we are going to genuinely allow others into our energy and then partake of their energy too. So it's about connection as well, but rebuilding connection rather than like buzzing around all like, what's been happening? I don't even know, like to having it come back to the center of your will, of your I am energy. It's also leads us into generosity, because once again, if we build up this hearth, this fire, this I am energy, then we have enough to share, sort of like the limes on the ground with the abundance gnomes. It helps us to then have our cups so full, or our hearth so aflame, that we can share. The unicorns who step forward with the fire element, these are unicorns who are presenting with the ray that is an orange brown. And I'm seeing, and I actually have a unicorn deck, and I think it has a picture of a unicorn that's like this sort of orange and brown all blended together, and like some of the parts of the blended really beautifully one to another, not patchy. And like if the light catches it, it's like a rich orange, and then there's like a deep dark brown. Also black unicorns. And so this is nurturing, this is divine feminine, this is the yin energy, and you're invited to spend some time with the goddess or ascended master energy or the divine mother energy that does nurture you and soothe you. And recognize that as you do spend that time with her, she is you and you are her. And so you are taking care of yourself in this way. This is a part of like sitting by the fire, taking care of yourself. And so we have the black unicorns, the brick orange and brown. They particularly want me to say brick orange and brown. And then also another unicorn who steps forward is presenting with a ray that is a heathery gray color. It's a heathery gray. So heather is, maybe it's a little bit lavender, but it's very gray. And they're showing me that it's kind of like the soot. It's like it's what remains after you have purified. And that is a powerful, it's a powerful mineral to begin again and to support yourself. And so these are the unicorns who step forward with these energies. Okay. Well, again, if you, maybe I'll put these notes, they'll be a little bit jumbled, but I'll put them I'll put them on my YouTube channel in the replay in the description as after I've actually posted this. Okay. How are you guys doing? You can feel a burning in your belly, solar plexus fire. Sagittarius. Oh my gosh. Yes. Sagittarius. Get a Sagittarius in your belly. I'm laughing because I'm thinking of my Sagittarian friends whose birthdays are coming right now. Okay, guys, I'm going to look at what some of your comments are here. And then if anybody would like to, what time is it? I should say. The only reason I'm looking, well, we do a couple, a few readings here. Once again, the readings, the questions would be selected by spirit for us all to receive something, some kind of attunement, some kind of direction. So we are all here sharing and cooperating. And what's really cool, actually, is to sit back when someone else is getting that reading, that attunement, that channeling, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was for me. I am so known. Anyway, oh, did you see my fairy necklace? Let's see. I can show it to the camera a little better. Yeah. So if you would like reading, some insight, I have a bunch of beautiful little cards here. Decks of cards, I mean. So pop something in there. It can be, do something a little bit more than general. Give it an area, give it a question, give it a little qualification, because that's going to make it something that will, help us to dig into it. A general reading is going to bring a very general answer. Alicia, penguins. That's right. Alicia's making fun of my accent. Maybe you're not making fun of it. I was making fun of it. The distillation process, yes. How does the shadow fairy, here, let me see what Barbara's asking a question. How does the shadow fairy interact with our dreams, or do they? Ooh, that's a wonderful question. Let me feel into that. Let me ask them about this. How do shadow fairies, do they interact with our dreams? So they say that they lay a bit dormant in our dreams. They witness and this is so interesting. Take what resonates and leave the rest. But they're showing me like a Greek play. And they're showing me that that shadow fae, while we're sleeping, will sort of be like the chorus. Okay, oh my gosh, this is crazy, you guys. So what they do in our dreams and in the astral is they sort of stoke the emotions. So if you know about ancient Greek theater, the Greek, theater, there was a chorus so there was like a persona, the lead actor, and they had on these huge masks, and they would be giving a soliloquy. And of course they had to belt it out because we didn't have, it was in a Greek amphitheater. There weren't, oh gosh, it's so funny. I just got a reading the other day, and she told me about ancient Greece, and now it's like making sense to me. Anyway, so belting it out in the amphitheater, and we didn't have amplification. So they amplified, and they wore these big masks. And that's where the word person comes from, because the persona was wearing the costume of a being, of an image. And they were projecting something. It was just the interface. But anyway, there was the one, but then there was a chorus who was basically kind of like the hype men. They would like be very, like they would, get very tragic and demonstrative. So this is what they're showing me, that in dreams, in astral, the shadow fae will come up, and they sort of become these pure, potent, all of the colors of the emotions. So if it's sadness, and there is a shadow fae who is being abject sad, your flavor of abject sadness, and then there is another one who is being anger, and there's another one who is being solemnity, and they express these, and they sort of okay, thank you. So they're giving me the image of, it's like they're empaths, basically. Shadow fairies are the ultimate empaths, but aligned in the sense that this is what their job is meant to be. But did you see Minority Report, and how, my husband and I always joke about how basically I am those, because I'm a reflector. And I said, one day you're going to find me. You're going to come home, and I'd be like trembling in a shallow pool of milk, and going like, don't go home, So, but you remember in Minority, if you haven't seen the film, watch it, but I'm sorry if you're not getting the reference. But how the oracles, or whatever they were called, when they would be seeing a vision, and they basically would channel it, and they'd be like, don't go home. So that's what these shadow fae are doing. They're embodying, in a sense, but not physical bodies, but light bodies, the emotions, to intensify them so that you can bring them out into your waking life and help to process the shadow. I hope that imagery made some sense to you guys. And if it didn't, let me know. Okay, let's see. I got one here. Okay. Stephanie says, I would love some insight on the career prospects. I've been meaning to go out on my own for a long time, but I've always felt like the timing is never right, or I doubt myself. Okay. So we want to, okay, thank you. So they're telling me to pull you a unicorn card. because you're actually in the place, Stephanie. I don't know why I love it's like your name is Stephanie Field, but I feel like I want to call you Strawberry Fields. So, but they're telling me that basically you're at the end of the cycle of this concern about it, so you're just wrapping up a cycle of patterning of like feeling and thinking and seeing in your reality that you're not out on your own, as you said, with the career. So they say this doesn't come without a challenge, but it basically taking a leap will be a very supported leap, because in reality you will be good, you'll be fine. You may be making, let's say, a little less money, but that's just because you're learning how to make money in the new configuration of your job. But your work that you're doing, but you'll be good, you'll be fine. And there's a great gift in, as you go independent and as you need to reorient yourself to resourcing independently rather than resourcing from someone else, that you'll instantly be able to be committed to it, and it will help you to kind of dig into those places where you manifest more independently. Now, they say independent manifestation is never truly, it's not like being an island. You will create partners rather than having bosses. And so it's not something that is done totally isolated when we are entrepreneurs or independent career people. And so basically they say, so they wanted me to pull a unicorn card because, and here's your card showing up right now. Feels like it might be, nope, it's just the one. Okay. They say that they want to help you. They want a unicorn step forward for you because unicorns sort of help you to just have this pure hope and almost like ride the wind with belief. And beliefs are stronger than the beliefs that you had, where you're aware that they're beliefs, but you're operating from higher mind. You're operating from the master of the beliefs, the ones who are saying, I created this belief and I'm using it now. And, but it's the unicorn step forward to give you that inspiration, to pump you full of inspiration and to help you to have a trajectory. And so they say, do the action that is available to you. Look at the things that we talked about today, the actionable gnomes, and then, but also trust in synchronicity. They say it's important for you to attune to and trust to synchronicity and surprises, because if we aren't really attuned to it, we could think that something happening is an error or a problem rather than an opportunity. And so it's actually a really good thing. They say it's hard for humans to see that we're finished with a pattern until we have the opportunity to stop acting in it. Thank you. So they tell me to give us the example. We've all been through breakups. We've all probably had, a few partners who were the same. We've dated the same kind of, we attracted a similar kind of pattern in a partner a few times, whether it's casual dating or more serious dating. And then, in order to break that pattern, we may think like, I'm not going to date anyone for a while. And even if you haven't had this, I think we can all relate to it. I'm not going to date anyone for a while. And so you have this moment of this time, this period of being solo, single, and you're like, I'm not going to date anyone because I'm sick of like who I'm attracting. Not that it's their fault, but I'm sick of the issues that I'm connecting and co-creating with these partners. So you're alone. And then you're like working on yourself. And then it's like before you don't really know that you've shifted out of that pattern until you start a new relationship, which doesn't even need to be one that's long-term. It can be just like showing up and you're on a date and you're like, I feel different. I don't feel like the way that I used to feel on dates. And that's cool. So that's the metaphor they're using for the moving from non-independent work to independent work. Okay. Action. That's awesome. That's my ring light. Action. That's so cool. So yes, take action on that. And it says, now is the perfect time to act. Take inspired action toward your dreams. Move forward with confidence. So these unicorns are pumping you full of confidence. And just even meditating on confidence, meditate on confidence, because it is there. That is a frequency. It is a living word. It is like the fractal light of, colors, like blue is a fractal of the one light. Confidence is a fractal of source energy, of love, of that highest energy. It is an alive and living guide, and it is there to counsel you. I hope that was helpful, Stephanie. Where's my water? Getting dry-mouthed. You've been seeing a lot of synchronicities. Great. So the universe is offering it to you. All right. Let's see. Show me who's next. Let's see. It looks like let's see. Is this a question? I'm going to hit it. Okay. This is Christy. I would love a message from the fairies. My birthday is coming. Winter solstice. How wonderful. Oh, what a blessing you are. I have I'm being drawn to my Atlantis deck. Can you guys see my Concon? He's this little silver mass right here. Wait, I'm having a hard time drawing a circle around there. I'm doing it now. Little silver mass right there next to the green pillow. Okay, so birthday. This is Christy. Message from the Fae. Okay, well, you have a lot of green fairies around you. They are a kind of lime green, and they have like a white. It's like they're green auras with a white core. So who are you, and what are you telling me about, Christy? Okay, so they're telling me about abundance. I don't know if you are moving into a personal year of 8, but there's abundance that you're ticking over to. And they say they want us to remind us about prosperity, that prosperity is, we tend to frame it as money. That's what we think about. But in fact, prosperity is a holistic energy, that you aren't prosperous if you have a lot of money and you're exhausted, or you're emotionally beat down, or you live, or you're working in a way that's inauthentic. They say that, oh, thank you. They're showing me that like a new kind of prosperity that naturally moves you into a role of charismatic leader, compassionate, charismatic, authentic leader. And this does, you have this alignment with the solstice for your birthday, and it is a powerful opportunity. Here's a card for you to activate this. And they say, just be mindful of it. You don't need to do anything. You can do a ritual if you like, if that helps you with your mindfulness, with the shifting of, okay, so they're telling me open your heart. And it's not that your heart is closed or anything, but they're saying specifically this is being offered to you, this frequency. And they say there's no way for you to miss it, really, because the leading up to it has been for so long and has so much momentum, but they want to celebrate it with you. I mean, they want to play like fairies do. So if you open your heart, then you'll get to experience the deep delight with them. I see 7 of them around you. And this leads me to the 7 sisters of Pleiades. And so these are interdimensional Pleiadian fairies. This means that they exist here, and they also work in the Pleiades, and they sort of like transdimensionally travel between the two, but they love to spend time here. And there's portions of each of their 7 energies, partially here and partially in the Pleiades at any particular time. So they're never completely absent from either here or in the Pleiadian space. This is interesting. I've never heard this. Okay, so creative expression is your Atlantean card. Sorry, there we go. Creative expression. Okay, the number is 17, which comes out to 8, as I said. I don't know if you're in a personal 8 year, but you got 8 energy around you. Even if you don't have personal 8 year, it's still you have 8 momentum and prosperous energy around you. So, excuse me, that's the 8 energy. The 17, I love 17 because my birthday is March 17th. But anyway, the 1 energy is leadership, and it's also the source number. So it's like the I am number, and the 7 is the spiritual number. So, oh gosh, and we had the 7 Pleiadian fairies around you. So I I think that's all pretty aligned. Okay, so creative expression. It says in the golden times, the Atlanteans loved to express their creativity through art, music, and making beautiful things. They put their hearts and souls into their creations, knowing that the more they poured into them, the more love would radiate out from whatever they had fashioned. Although they had the power to manifest objects, they preferred to make them and derived great satisfaction from creating simple and unique pieces. This enabled them to enjoy the senses and helped them to develop their right brain. And the guidance says, be individual. Your guidance is to do or make something creative. However you express this, you are called on to channel your divine energy into the unique, beautiful, harmonious, and original. Take this opportunity to develop all your senses. Create something unique and satisfying. Ooh, prosperity is satisfying, isn't it? Well, connect with those fairies, those Pleiadian/Earth fairies. I got chills all over my head. It tickles. It tickles. Thank you, Christy. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Yes. 38 weeks pregnant. Quite anxious about when the baby will arrive. Very excited, but also nervous. Open to any uplifting message. Oh, I know. I don't know if there's any other way around it at 38 weeks, is there? We are going to pull you a card from the Sacred Geometry Activations by Lon. Oh, I want to have her. I keep meaning to invite her on my podcast again because she has a new deck out called Modern Merlin Magic, I think, which is so weird because if you're in the Mystic Arts Academy, you know that like 2 months ago, I did a class called Modern Merlinian Magic and Ascended Alchemy. And Lon hadn't announced her card deck yet. So we are having like the simultaneous creation. All right. So I don't see it doesn't have your name, but I'm going to ask about the 30 weeks pregnant friend. Everything's going to be great. You are going to be delighted by the birth date that your child has picked and surprised and delighted. And so throat chakra. Throat chakra is your card. That's the 5, which is change. And it says the frequency of the throat chakra, the blue flower of life, supports our self-expression and our sense of peace and balance. So I think the important words in this, peace and balance, it's really, balance is incredibly challenging when you are 38 weeks pregnant or, 50 weeks pregnant, meaning like that fourth trimester, as they call it as colloquially, because it's, it's a lot. And so balance is actually kind of like your full-time job, if you would. And so the way that you access that balance is through finding peace. And it's the throat chakra, we have the 5 and the change energy and the flower of life, which is what you are right now. The throat chakra is the energy through which is the energy center through which all of the other energies flow in order for creation to happen. It's like, in a sense, it's like your birthing canal. And so that is what you're doing. You are building up the balance and the peace so that you can deliver this expression. Oh, how beautiful. And so you are being encouraged to be able to, continue to anchor in your sense of self, because your identity is one with your child's now and will be for at least the first 3 or 4 months and possibly up to the first 6 months until the child starts to move a little bit and the sacral chakra is developed. And so just an encouragement that part of the balance is to find that center. And when you find peace, then you found your self-expression individuated, even though you are still one with your child. So peace and balance are your mantras right now. Oh, my birdies just got excited. Well, I hope that was helpful. Well, guys, let me see. I'm going to just remind you about the Intuitive Intensive, everyone. So the Intuitive Intensive registration is open now. Let's see. There we go. Oh my goodness. The Intuitive Intensive is a groundbreaking, life-changing, up-leveling program. Anne Compton and I established this program. The first time we did it was in 2018. And it's an immersive program, education and group coaching. And we've shifted it this year where we've refined it, sort of like that crystallization process with what were the endines? See, that's what I'm telling you. I learned it at the same time as you. Of crystallization, the endines of crystallization, so that we are making the commitment a bit easier, where we are doing an overlap of the coaching and the classes. And we just, we keep refining it. So we're very excited about it. It's an 8-week program. You will have the fellowship, which is such an important part of developing yourself spiritually, intuitively, your psychic abilities, to live a life that is powerfully potently psychic. Now, when we say psychic, we mean holistically. We mean that one must be personally developed in order to also use their spiritual energy in the way that is in alignment with themselves. So there is personal development built right in. It's baked in. It's baked in goodness. So truly, I invite you to check it out and join us. There are payment plans available. We have the early bird, as this is being live streamed, early bird pricing is available, and it's right there, class.lightshineacademy.com/2022. Here, I'm going to see what this says. This is from Natasha. I was wondering how to tell the difference between messages from your guides and your own imagination. Images come to me, but they are soundless, only feelings. How can you know the difference? Well, your guides are you, and you are your guides. So if they are messages, if they are helpful, if they are beneficial, then that is from spirit, God, guides. Yeah. If it is your inner critic, then that's fantasy. If I'm saying, oh, I'm dumb, lazy, or whatever, that's not my guides. No. That is my shadow. That is what I've absorbed. That is negative conditioning that I've received. That is something for me to release. But if it is positive, creative, supportive, blissful, anything along those lines. Now, sometimes we can get tough love from, see, here's the thing. Our guides, like I say, they are us and we are them. And our higher self is indistinguishable from spirit guides. It is, except for the fact that when it's kind of like just a higher self or something like that, it may not be necessary. It's because it's not really necessary for a particular identity to step forward and say, hey, I'm Mother Mary, it's when one of those particular personalities will help us. Now, they're pointing me to the fact that, for example, we can self-soothe if we need support. And in fact, we only ever receive support when we do self-soothe. We have cooperative partners in that. I might run to the arms of my husband or my best friend, but I can reject their offering entirely. I can reject their hug. I can reject their kind words, their words of wisdom, their words of support, of logic, whatever is going to be helpful, encouragement. And I can reject it and still choose my inner critic instead of my inner truth. And they are just being authentic reflections of my inner truth. So it's really no different. It's called resonance, is the reason why we use this word. Resonance means two energies forming and fusing to be a third energy or a more holistic energy. So your guides are you. Really what it comes down to is if it is helpful, beneficial, loving, and supportive. I was about to say that, yeah, and sometimes that can be tough love. Like Franklin's saying, how can you ask for more? Oh, when there are limes on the ground. I mean, I didn't feel abused or at all. I was like, yes. It was like someone just reminded me of the thing that I had forgotten. I was like, of course, thank you. You know what I mean? But he said it to me in a really direct way. So directness does not mean, negativity or mean, not at all. Directness can be very helpful and exactly what we need sometimes, like my husband one time, he was this is before he met me, and he was seeing a counselor, and he was telling this counselor, this therapist, like, my mom is driving me crazy. Like, she's so up in my dating life and asking me and like always nagging me and talking to me and being in my relationships. And the therapist just looked at him and he said, "Are you a man?" And basically, "Are you a grown up? Then you wouldn't want to have your mom in your relationships." He said it, and my husband was just like, I am a grown up. And it was just like, that's right. I just need to tell her to stop. I need to have boundaries, Anyway, so that's what it is. If it's a particular guide whose identity will help you in receiving the message and receiving that particular quality of support and light, then there you go. But the fact is that when I'm walking around communing with guides and channeling, it's like a chorus of energy. And I do feel it a little bit distinctive from just my meandering thoughts, but that's because it kind of shows up as a supportive energy in a particular color that helps me to recognize it. You know what I mean? Like epiphany, inspiration. But there's all kinds of shades of that. And your guides or your higher self will be gentler with you sometimes so that you can have the empowerment of releasing your negative thoughts and your inner critic and gently soothe yourself into what it is that you would want to be aligned with in your thoughts and feelings. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. How do I undo that? Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to put this up one more time. That's class.lightshineacademy.com. Check it out. That is the Intuitive Intensive. And I had the most fun with you guys. Get into working with your nature spirits, your elementals, your devas, your fairies. So as we sign off, like I said, I will post this in the description, but I'm just going to run down just the names of the devas and fae that step forward at this time. We have gnomes of abundance and their wood elves, undines of crystallization and their ice fairies, blustery sylphs and their shadow fairies, and salamanders of prayer, peace, and release. And then they also said fire pixies. And then the unicorns on a separate page here we have in the earth arena, we have unicorns who are pale orange, peach, and salmon. In the water element, unicorns who are ice blue, pearlescent white, and violet blended with white. In the air element, unicorns who are white with golden manes and with white gray eyes. And then in fire element, we have unicorns who are brick orange and brown, black, or heather gray like soot. I love you guys. My name is Tricia Carr. If we haven't met before, check out the Intuitive Intensive. And if you're listening to this, watching the replay at some other time, check out class.lightshine academy or just lightshineacademy.com, because we always got something going on. We got a workshop coming up. We got another intensive coming up. And then, of course, my website is triciacarcharm.com, and I have the Mystic Arts Academy, and I have things coming up with the podcast. I have an app coming out. Ooh, did I just say it? It's a secret. But I have my own app coming out, and it's going to be amazing because it's going to be for you guys. So that's what I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I love you, whoever you are. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you guys. I see Julie is here. Hi, Crystal, Rachel, and I saw Chris Hoffman. Oh my gosh, eat you up. And Yvette, sorry, I look this way because even though I'm looking at a screen right here, this is bigger and I can see it better. So anyway, I'm so excited to be here with you guys too. Excited. I found a deck of cards that I 100% forgot that I have.